Okay, that does look like a music box.
So, this is the article in question, is it? The small box deposited with the pawnbroker by Mr. McGilda 2 months ago.
And on the night of Mr. Winnebago's murder, the only item on the shelves that was touched by whoever broke into the shop. Quick, quick! Let's open it and see what's inside. I hope it's a mechanism for playing me. Ah! Ha! That does look like a music box.
Good gracious, this is no ordinary box, it seems.
Wow, although in truth I had an inkling that it might be the case.
It would appear that the box houses a miniature music box movement.
Hmm.
Then, is it too much to expect? I think it would be reasonable to assume that it's a device for the playback of this disc, my lord.
To think it was there the whole time.
So, here we have the means to play back Mr. McGilda's disc, deposited at a windy bank at much the same time. Not strictly correct, my lord. It was not Miss McGilda's disc. It was the disc of its victim in the Omnibus.
Yeah, it said for McGillet on it.
Yeah.
Not just McGillet.
But why, for heaven's sake? Are we to understand that a brickmaker was trying to sell his music box to Mr. McGilda?
Hmm.
I wonder what's the music.
I believe the answer will become clear if we listen to the music on the disc, my lord.
Yes,
Yeah.
very well.
I'm curious.
Let the court now release into this curious disc at last.
What?
Wait, my lord!
God damn it, can you stop?
Good grief, what is the meaning of this, Inspector? The music box and the disc are, well, they are related to the case.
No, we just heard otherwise.
No need to spoil the somber atmosphere in the courtroom with some silly bit of music.
No. This disc may very well have motivated the culprit in this case to commit murder. Clearly there's every chance it's fundamentally important to understanding what happened.
The prosecution has no objection.
Are they gonna drag Strongheart in here now, too?
But no, that piece of evidence is proper. Clearly Scotland Yard has some vested interest here.
And I don't trust Scotland Yard.
But it's policy of its prosecutor to leave no avenues unexplored. And you, Inspector, have no jurisdiction here to prevent that from happening. No further delays, please. Play the disc.
Okay. That's Morse code.
That is Morse code. And he is a communications expert as well. What on earth? And jury number 4 is, so she will be the one to...
Number 5, yep.
Oh yeah. That's certainly not what I would call music.
No, that's what I call Morse code.
That's a message.
No. It's just the same note playing over and over again in an irregular sequence. Juror number 5, could you please, Oh. You okay there, Ashley?
Mr. Graydon? This really is priceless. After all that, the music box is broken.
Oh, don't pretend. Broken? It can't be, can it? No.
Well, obviously. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised.
Is there going to be like a hold it from juror number 5 now?
Yeah. If the officer sent to fetch it didn't drop it on the way back to the courtroom.
Oh, get lost.
Well, with much regret. I I feel the court must accept that this music box offers little in the way of clues.
No. It offers little in the way of clues.
Are you ready to move on, Counsel?
Yes? Come on. Yes, alright, it does sound as though it's completely broken, but is it? Could this music emanating from the music box possibly be a new clue? Yes.
No!
Yes!
Credits roll.
I believe that it could be relevant, my lord.
Good lord, but how can it be?
Well, consider the islands of Japan. No, it's not music, that's the point.
It's an abomination, Counsel. Weird noise. I fail to see how it can have any meaning whatsoever.
It does sound strange, I agree. There's one thing that's bothering me. While Graydon stands there trolling victoriously, the inspector beside him has a rather telling expression on his face. It's as if Gregson recognizes the sound, as if he's familiar with it somehow. It's making him appear extremely on edge. Does it have to do something? Does it have something to do with like police work? I wonder.
If that's the stance on the defense, my Nipponese friend, answer me this.
Oh.
It just falls asleep. Just what relevance do you propose this woeful chiming has on the case?
It's the defense's belief that the sound emanating from this music box is
Not supposed
to be music.
Unusual show. It's a mix of jazz and punk.
Very.
It's called junk.
Yeah, exactly. Junk.
I love that joke.
Just because this is a music box, it doesn't necessarily mean the sounds we're hearing are music.
Well, I stopped laughing.
Look at that. The smile vanished from Graydon's lips as soon as I said it. I'm on the right lines here. I must be. Making deductions based on how people react to what you say. You're acting just like Hurley, Ringo.
Objection!
Objection!
So what is it
That
then?
sounds over here. Oh, what is it? It's not funk. It's not jazz. Is it the mix of this?
Oh, maybe it's that.
sounds
What was
weird.
that? What the Cantina band in Star Wars plays? Jizz is what
Jizz.
it's. Yeah.
The sounds we're hearing aren't necessarily music. Well, now that you told us what they are not. I know what you are, but what am I? I'm sure the code would like to hear what they are. Do enlighten us, my Nipponese friend.
Well,
Surely you have an idea in mind, because if not, it will be the death of your ill-formed argument. Exactly. The music box is clearly broken. Refusing to accept that is the fact is pure foolishness.
is it though? They've caught me. I don't know what the answer is yet. Who know? He did the thing again. I've just examined the music box very thoroughly, and I'm fairly certain that it's not broken at all. Actually, do we have it? No, we don't. Okay. Really? Really? The way it's been made, it can only produce a single note anyway. Thank you, Iris.
Do you remember?
Alright, well, if the music box isn't broken, it must mean that the sounds it's producing have some significance that isn't musical. Man, at points like these, I wish I knew Morse code. I really want to know what
It would be significant.
significant.
Oh my fucking god!
Could it be? Is that what these sounds are? Something's just struck me, Bruno. I feel like recently, in the past few hours even,
Is it the
I've
newspaper?
heard another sound very much like the one this music box makes.
Oh,
Yeah, from
Yeah.
the jury bench? Right? Actually, Iris,
yeah.
I was just thinking exactly the same thing.
I'm going to have to press the defense for an answer. If your assertion is that the sound produced by this music box is not in fact music at all, then what the devil is it, Counsel?
All the evidence we've seen so far, all the testimony we've had, It's all pointing to one single answer now.
The prosecution demands that my learned Nipponese friend presents proof now. Tangible proof of this latest wild speculation.
Alright then. This could be the best chance I'm going to get to fight back in this trial. And if I'm right, it's going to join all the dots together. The evidence that explains the true nature of the sounds this music box disc on this music box disc is.
Newspaper? Government secrets being leaked, and we have a
yeah, I mean,
conversation, a dialect, guy.
I mean, that's the only thing that is still that we still haven't used, right? So
And he has done a tangible update. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just try this then.
A newspaper.
Yeah, the evidence that explains the true nature of the sounds on this music box disc is
Take that!
the news.
Newspaper Council. Headlines is Pawnbroker perishes in Pickpurse plot. Hardly supportive of a cause.
No. You gotta turn it around.
You did the other side of the receipt.
No, my lord. I was hoping you'd look a little further down the page.
Further down. Ministry mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. Yes, this is a very serious matter being investigated at the highest level. I have heard that international transmissions along supposedly secure lines are not somehow being intercepted and leaked to various other countries.
And presumably those transmissions are in the form of wire telegrams?
Of course.
Juror number 5, your input, please.
So, me, sir? Whatever is the matter?
You told the court before that you worked at the same communication station as Mr. Graydon, did you not?
Yes, that is correct.
And the particular station where you work deals with government communications and newspaper reports?
Yes. We're not run-of-the-mill communication station at all. Our work is extremely important.
Then tell me, is this not a very familiar sound?
Is she just gonna start tapping it in the Yep. You don't mean to say, is it?
That's right, madam. It bears more than a passing resemblance to the sound made by your telegraph machine as you tap it. I believe it's called Morse code.
I don't believe it.
Now correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to leaking telegrams from government departments, there could be nobody more perfectly placed than a highly skilled communications officer.
Are you suggesting that the music box disc
Is a government secret? Yeah.
contains stolen government secrets in Morse code?
Yes.
Order! Please, everyone, order! But this is high treason, council, deserving of capital punishment.
Well, McGillard's already dead, so that's that. Too much new vocabulary. What is this treason and what is capital punishment? Sorts of words I'd half expect you to know.
For a sovereign government's confidential information, hostile nations pay almost any price.
Yes, and on that night 2 months ago, that was the very negotiation that was taking place inside the Omnibus.
Yeah, so ultimately it is about money. But in the end, McGilda perished, and the all-important disc lay unclaimed in the pawnbrokery. My word! So what, did Gregson just decide, I think it's better that people don't know that those are government secrets and just let it go? Then
I mean, they
those
probably
are government secrets.
they probably wanted to save face here, right? They didn't want it to come out that it actually was true.
Yeah, but ultimately, if he doesn't, then this avenue of escape of leaking information still goes on.
True, yeah, but they were doing their own investigation, right? Like, parallel to this. Whoever stole that information in the first place must surely have been beside himself with worry. Because if the disc were to be discovered before it found its way out of the country...
It will reveal an act of high treason punishable by death.
So the culprit had no choice but to retrieve it. And in order to do that, he would have to gain entry to the pawnbroker illegally in the middle of the night. Because the article left behind by Mr. McGillis would incriminate him too much if it got into the wrong hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Graydon? How's your arm?
You think I've been stealing government secrets? Preposterous. Absolutely preposterous. So, in response to the defense accusation, you claim complete innocence, do you? Yeah, well, of course. Why wouldn't I? Yeah, no. I'll take me to the gallows right now. I had to stand here in silence while the pretentious foreign lawyer has been prattling away.
Actually, no. You were talking with Gregson over there.
Objection.
Oh yes, please.
Oh, let's go, double team. Then by all means, counter the charges, sir.
Yes, Venzix.
Eiffel Tower.
Let's go.
The prosecution demands the witness testifies in response to the accusations brought by the defense. Delighted, I'm sure.
Are you now?
The witness is reminded that the crime under scrutiny in this trial is the murder of the pawnbroker, Mr. Winterbank. That being a most flagitious offense for which the law of the land sanctions a capital punishment. But the heinous act of high treason is no less serious a crime. I urge you to bear that in mind as you testify, Mr.
Oh, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Admit
so
to the high treason or admit to the murder? You're gonna get killed.
To clear yourself of 2 capital punishment.
Exactly.
crimes.
They're gonna kill you twice. You're gonna get hung, drawn, and quartered.
I'll kill you before I have a chance to die.
Hold it.
Oh,
Let's proceed.
Gregson? You guys?
Hey, you gotta not be spoken here, Governor. We have things to say.
Why?
I beg your pardon? Who do you think you are? Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is professional daddy.
Name's Ringo Skulkin, but way about is enough to sell out our motherland.
That's right. We want the cow. Wait, was this a recap of them? 3 Skulkin brothers.
Come on, Sulky.
Bad timing, fellas. Very bad timing.
Why?
I like that they have a recap of them.
Why are they back? All right, Graydon.
A mere communications officer couldn't possibly steal confidential government information. Besides, the sound produced by the music box aren't even Morse code.
Really?
It was some low-caste brickmaker negotiated with my guild anyway, was it not? I have no relation to the man. Oh, all we done is break into the cafe the other night like what we told us to do.
If we'd known there was dodgy government secrets involved, we wouldn't have touched it. Really? Yes, same. Same.
So also they also just said that the broken Mr. and Mrs. Skulkin. What is it, Governor? What's up? Do I take it that you now admit to the crime? That on the question, you did indeed get entered to the premises illegally? And moreover, you did so as a party of 3 in collaboration with Mr. Graydon. With it, Gov.
With it.
Flatter down, please. What say you to that, Mr. Graydon?
Facepalm.
I have no idea what these two griffins are referring to. You little rotter! You got us mixed up in all this bucking business.
Oh, is that what's going on, or are they gonna go against him?
You guys said nothing about no government secrets. It was supposed to be a straight-up job.
And what about the geezer who shot it was, huh? Poor old bloke didn't have to die, did he?
Ah,
Nice to know who your friends are.
no honor among thieves, it seems.
No, not at all.
Whatever these men say, I deny the accusations.
You are very handsome.
You are innocent. Indeed. Well, I certainly wasn't expecting this little music box to become so significant in the proceedings. However, as it has, I will admit it into the court record as evidence.
Oh yes, let me look at it, please. The strange music box only appears to be able to play a single tone. It was deposited at Windibanks 2 days before the Black Overcoat.
Let's check the box.
Let's check the
box.
Wait. You wait. Oh, wait, Crayon's counter has to wait. Swing in it. Look at the box.
Cool. Box.
Disc skill. Disc
Spin.
Was
Oh,
this?
button.
Hello?
What's this? Is this button? Can I do it? Let's go.
Is there a secret, is there a secret compartment in the box? What is it?
Does it print out a message?
Oh, that'd be cool. I've just noticed something about this music box. It looks like the bottom of it opens up as well. Oh!
Oh, it's another lid.
Oh, you're right. Well, come on then. What are you waiting for? Let's open it. All right, then here goes. Another mechanism. Look at that. There's another movement on the other side. So does that mean you can set another disc to play back on this side? Yes, I think so. And it looks like the two movements are linked together. They're linked?
Oh, so we
okay.
have part of a message, so that's why it doesn't really
so it's
sound like.
incomplete. It's incomplete then. So if you had two,
Or we're gonna use like Sholmes's caramel disc.
well, that's the same disc though.
I don't know, it's just be fine.
So if you had two discs, they would be that would both play back at the same time.
They would both play at the same.
Yes, they would both play back at play. Look at the mechanism too. Who would have thought there would be a second movement on the underside of the box? This movement is likely the other one. The comb's teeth are all the same length. Yeah, it's still one single tone. Like. So this movement only produces a single tone like the other one. Yes, it must do. Except the length of the teeth on the two combs isn't the same. So a single tone produced by this movement will be different to the single tone we've already heard. Yeah. What? Basically, each movement can only produce a single note. But the notes they produce are different. Music box, they can only play two tones. Interesting. It's the mechanism that turns the bumps in the disc into sound, isn't it? Yes, the movement. It's all thanks to the comb with its teeth that are plucked by passing bumps. Usually the teeth on the comb are different lengths, so each tone produces a different tone, or each one produces a different tone. This comb is very strange. All teeth are exactly the same length. Well, what does that mean? It means that no matter which tooth is plucked by the passing bumps, the music box will make the same sound. I've never seen a music box like it before. Yes, it's strange. A music box can only play a single note. There has to be a significance to that, surely.
Okay.
Well, that's really interesting now, isn't it?
What an interesting little thing.
So that's what is this like coded or something? I mean, you have like you have to have both halves to actually be able to hear the message.
It's like if you have an SOS, but you want two dots on one and one in the other.
All right, tell me about it. What's the security measures you have in place at work? So, is this newspaper headline accurate? Government communications are being intercepted?
How could I possibly know? Do we need to check on the other two every time? Because now I'm anxious because
I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah, because it didn't show when Gregson and him were talking.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Any important government communications are handled by high-level officers, by specialists. I don't know. Okay.
They're just like, no, I got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I guess you can just go to Nash and you'll see them both.
Yeah.
If needed.
Yep.
Journal members of staff in the station where I work would never be entrusted with sensitive information.
Juror number 5.
Oh, no, stop! I must say something. Stop!
Let me guess. A simple hole would have done it. Juror number 5.
Regular communication station officers aren't as holy as you're being led to believe. A team of us are responsible for setting up and testing the telegraph used by the ministry. And Mr. Graydon is a team leader.
That's fascinating.
Bitch. Graydon is highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of idol. Stop.
Mm-hmm. I can tell.
I
Well,
like how
calm
her
down.
blush is like slightly coming off her character model.
No need to stand him that much.
So you had access to the equipment used for these confidential communications. Well, what of it? The transmissions are made behind closed doors, so they can't. Yeah, but by you nor anybody that sees that you're actually smuggling. And in any case, all messages are sent in cipher. Normal employees couldn't possibly understand them.
So wait. Let me guess where that cipher is. The cipher is 2 separate telegraphs that produce 2 different tones. Is that it? Am I close?
Oh no, stop. Must say something. Stop. Mr. Graydon regularly attends meetings with ministry technicians and the ministry communications team. He assists them in ensuring there are no errors in important international communications.
Whoever put juror number 5 on there, thank you very much.
Right. And he's received top prize at the cipher cracking convention 5 years in a row now.
Damn. That's fascinating. He has no idea what any of this means.
Graydon is highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently in presence of title. Stop.
Yes, we got that. Thank you.
Well, you are the one appreciated if you keep your mouth shut.
She should really pick her idols more carefully. Yeah, like BTS or something.
Hey, I tell you, these liar's accusations are completely unfounded. Besides, the sound aren't even more skilled. Yeah,
They're not. Well, not.
half.
Yeah.
To anyone with a brain, that would be blatantly apparent on listening at that music box for even a few seconds.
You don't have a brain, do you? Okay.
Yeah, that was just like the silly.
Of course, of course.
Surely it can't be that my learned friend is unfamiliar with Morse code.
Ouch, he looks genuinely shocked at my ignorance. Is that Ashley? No? Oh, you're okay, that's you. Okay.
I would be more than happy to demonstrate the basics for you, sir.
It's just dots and dashes, it's not that hard. A lesson here in court?
Morse code is a continuous series of 2 distinct tones.
Tones, you say?
Yes, a short dot and a long dash. By combining those in different ways, you construct letters. Also, we are missing the dashes.
Probably, yeah. I see.
For example, this is A,
Beep, beep.
and this is B.
Beep, 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 beep.
But when you listen to the sound produced by this music box, you only hear one tone, don't you?
True.
Yeah, we have
But
the
it sounds
dots
so
because
similar.
they are so...
The rhythm of it is the same and everything.
But there is no discernible meaning to these apparently random sounds. So your assertion is fundamentally flawed. There's no Morse code.
Well, it's 1/2 of Morse code. No!
I like how we have this after we already...
Yeah.
Really, you shouldn't be surprised. What did I tell you? The music box is nothing but a worthless piece of scrap. What was for dinner?
I just wanna take a screenshot of those two and just like Photoshop like a thinking
every now
bubble.
and then you just see that Graydon is taking all the brain cell of the 3.
I just want to like put put like a thinking bubble, make this like a template or something, put a thinking bubble up there. It's like, what are the Skulkins thinking of right now?
Head empty.
Just
No
nothing.
thoughts, head empty. It's just a monkey bashing two plates together.
Yeah.
Perhaps you might consider studying your subject matter before casting aspersions in the future.
The inner machinations of our minds are an enigma. Stop. Nothing to say, but stop. Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it? Iris? I mean, if the government secrets were somehow being leaked using the music box, so many other things would slot into place so nicely. Could there still be something I haven't considered about the music box that we just checked? Would it really be possible to use this music box somehow to play back Morse code that we just checked? Give it a try. There's still every possibility that the music box that I just checked was instrumental in the leaking of the government secrets.
So, we need to figure out how this two-faced music box can play two tones.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the belief of the defense, at least.
Let's go.
What is your belief?
Does it please you in some way, my police friend?
Yes.
To repeat the same line of argument ad infinitum?
I mean, if I get to talk to you more, then yeah, sure.
It's already been established that to be Morse code, two tones are required. Dots and dashes.
Okay, sure, yeah. We're getting there. Yes, I'm well aware of that.
And then what? Well, it would appear the defense has an hypothesis to put forward.
Yes, we are taking Bikini Bottom and move it that way. No, we just take the disc and put it in the other mechanism and see what that does.
You had better present your idea at once, Counsel. How do you propose that this music box would appear to produce only a single tone?
Yes.
Can it be used to cipher secret messages into Moscow?
See, that's where you're wrong.
Oh, so we have to push the button again?
Oh?
There's a button!
I've just noticed. Oh, I can't skip this, really?
We forgot!
Looks like yeah, I didn't update it. And you're right. But yeah, push it. Push the button.
Jesus Christ, what are we, Dory from Finding Nemo?
So does that mean you can set another disc? Actually, use the same.
Oh my god!
Dun dun dun!
Got it!
Good gracious, what am I looking at here? Another movement on the underside of the music box. What? The other side?
It appears, my lord, that the two movements are linked together. So you actually would need two discs. In other words, you can put two discs in this music box. And the sounds of both will play back at the same time.
Good heavens.
As the quote has heard, Morse code comprises of two tones, a short dot and a long dash. With a second disc in place, this music box could be used to generate Morse code and convey a message.
This music box has Morse code. This is beyond the joke.
I'm sorry?
This poor excuse for a lawyer has absolutely no evidence to support his claims.
What?
Though, of course, if my learned friend were able to present the chord with the second disc, that would be another matter. Well?
I can't at the moment.
May I remind the court that the witness as the witness has pointed out, he was not one in the omnibus with McGilda 2 months ago, striking a deal of the disc or discs. Indeed, that was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
Wait, so is the other disc still in the coat?
Oh, it could be. Exactly. And nothing to do whatsoever to do with it. Though he has holes, I must admit the argument presented by the defense has much promise. We leave the cross-examinations to continue.
Okay. The link between Graydon and the victim of the Omnibus case must be there somewhere. But I haven't found it either. Well, it's the code, probably. Oh dear, looks like you need to give it the argument. It looks like you need to give your argument more strength right now.
So what, we're gonna set it aside? You reiterate your testimony if you please, Mr. Graydon. If I must maintain exactly what I did at the start of this pointless cross-examination. No relation to the man.
Okay, let's hear about that. Maybe the Skulkins have something to say about that. So 2 months ago in that omnibus, McGill killed the brickmaker and stole the disc.
Mr. Mason wanted a single name with almost nothing to his name. It seems he lived in artisan quarters some years ago, but people there remember little about him.
It doesn't make much sense though, does it? How would a humble brickmaker come to acquire secret government information?
Oh, indeed.
No? Okay.
No thought. It's head empty. Just static.
There must have been somebody else involved behind the scenes in all of this. Somebody who acquired the disc and gave it to Mr. Mason. In order to take it to the meeting with Mr. McGill to negotiate a deal.
Dear me. Woo! You may have it in for me, sir, but I assure you, I have far more class than that.
An old brickmaker from an artisan quarter and this well-to-do communications officer.
What they have in common?
I feel like I could find some evidence to link the two of them together.
If you have nothing more to add on that note, let us return to the witness testimony.
Alright. Well, yes, hello. Like Mr. Graydon told you to, you mean? Told you to do, you mean?
That's it? Yeah. Well, see. See, me though. Me thought you was just popular before I met Nessa after all them years, but I thought you top for us. Oh, so you know him from back? Hey, Ash?
Looks like it. Let me stop you there, Mr. Skulkin. After all them years, you say? You mean to tell me that Mr. Graydon is an acquaintance of yours?
Well, the sociable kind of batteries, you know? Sure, let's say Graydon's no China.
No? Yes?
Wish,
Did that...
wish.
Did that,
Wish.
Did that spark your memory?
Excuse me.
Yes, Hamtaro?
Something wrong, Mr. Skulkin? The other one. No, the other Mr. Skulkin.
Stop calling me that. Oh.
Oh, me? When your brother was testifying just now, he said something that seemed to cause you to react. Oh, I was just remembering the old days, that's all. We used to have a right old laugh together way back then, way back when. Together with Mr. Graydon, you mean? Yeah, with Ash. I mean, look at him now in his fancy whistle and flute, and you wouldn't have him an even. But when he was younger, he was from the poor part of town, just like us. Is that so? But he was always the leery one. He had the brains, he had the savvy. Always coming up with smart ideas, like what would never have gone through our heads. Yeah.
You look like a smart type with your eyes looking at different directions and such. Well, Limey, and that's the truth. Remember Milverton Skulkin's milk run? That was a corker, eh? Save it until after the trial. Your reminiscence has no place in this courtroom. And neither does your fruit. Oi, Ricky's asked us a question, didn't he? And we was answering.
Yeah, we ain't done nothing wrong.
Angie. Nevertheless, the court is not prepared to accompany you on your trip down memory lane. Counsel, can we turn your attention back to the testimony, please?
I don't know. Could that sentimental story be relevant somehow?
Add it to the testimony.
I mean, sure, let's do it.
Let's go!
Add everything, my lord.
Let's give me more weapons. Ask counsel.
Yeah, exactly. The brother's last sentimental statement could hold vital information relating to this case. I don't know what yet, but let's just add it.
Very well, sure, whatever. I permit the brothers to supplement the testimony with that detail. Briefly, I hasten to add. Say no more. Skulkin is never Skulkin.
Milverton.
Skulkin's Mikran.
Yes. So do I present Mason's? Do I present Mason's profile now? Wait, I cannot.
No.
I cannot. I forgot I can't. Okay, because I was his name not Where did
Mason
I hear?
Milverton?
Where did I hear Milverton before?
Hold it!
1 second. I'm gonna regret asking, but what exactly was that? Some kind of business? Just wanna one sec. Where is he? Wait, what?
We don't have anything.
We don't have him.
This wasn't about him.
God damn it. Okay, wait.
Until right now, so. You know.
Wait, no. Hold on. It was in the. 3-5
Mason. We might not know his name yet.
No, we did. Wait.
I mean, we just pressed.
There
so we
we
might
go.
know.
That's where I read it.
Oh,
My God.
There we go.
I knew I read it somewhere. I just didn't remember where. Mason Milverton. Take that.
So Mason, the Skulkers and Ash knew all each other.
Looks like it, yeah.
This is a little scheme we had going back when we were young. Fun, really. Why did I go Scottish? Fun, really.
Delivering fresh milk to the locals. That's what it was all about. That sounds alarmingly legitimate. There must be a catch. Suppose since we're here, I should have asked him to elaborate, but on what? The name, actually. Go by the name.
No, business name.
So this business was just a bit of fun, you say? And it was just yourself and Mr. Graydon involved?
Yeah, that's it.
Milverton and Skulkin's Millicron, was it? Yeah, that's it. And where did the Milverton part come from?
Oh, right. I thought a clever class like you would have looked that one out. That's
your maiden
Enough
name,
of
Mr.
this.
Graydon?
how much longer were we expected to listen to this drivel.
No. Let me guess. You don't accept anything these two witnesses are saying. Tell me, why is it that it was only at the moment of the name, the mention of the name Milverton that you decided to interject?
Because well, no. You know the opposites of homes that the one we came from?
Yeah, his old man was struggling for money so much, his wife walked out. Yep. Also, watch his apple right now. I don't know if it does the same thing as the pear, but yeah, there we go.
Nope. You took the name Graydon then, see.
So Milverton was his maiden name after all. But Ash will always be Milverton to us.
Oh, so he was the brother
The son.
of Mason?
The son.
Oh, right.
Milverton. So it used to be your surname, did it?
Of course not. This is all bunkum. I've been a Graydon since I was born. Do you really think you can rely on the testimony of those two thieves?
Yes.
You're a communications officer attached to the civil service. As such, your personal details will have been thoroughly checked.
Good point, good point.
It would be a very simple matter indeed to subpoena those records, Mr. Graydon.
Feels good when you have the prosecution on your side.
Yeah. I like when he's my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it would appear that Mr. and Mrs. Fucking hell. Mr. and Mrs. Skulkin testimony has been reliable for once. Every time I see Mr. and Mr., I just try to go to Mr. Mr.
Same.
You're born Ashley Milverton, then. Is that correct? Very well. Yes.
So Ashley Graydon was once Ashley Milverton. That information could change things. It could turn out to be extremely important. Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah. Right. All of a sudden we seem to be up on our necks in a serious matter of national security. Although all this talk about interception of secret government messages is just conjectural at this stage. It would explain a number of things though, wouldn't it? The negotiation Ginny overheard on the Omnibus 2 months ago and the break-in at Winterbanks. But the trouble is, it wasn't Mr. Graydon in the Omnibus with Mr. McGillicuddy. Well, no, it was Milverton, Mr. Milverton, actually. Mr. Milverton. Yeah? Yeah, okay. No, there was Mr. Mason. Oh, that's not his last name, though. Only there was some link between the two men somehow.
If only.
Yeah, if only. Man, I wish. But
Well, time to give
God
up.
damn it. Yeah, actually,
And
let's
that was a good
just end it
playthrough,
right
so
now. No.
Okay, bye.
One of the Kitas making headway with the cross-examination here. Could be those two brothers. No, we already got it, don't worry. We know what we have to know. Mere communications over concealed, blah blah blah. Where's the... Oh, wait. If we'd known there was dodgy government, blah. Milverton was going to score that one of them days. Question is, do I present it there or when he says I have no collect? Probably here. I have no relation to the man. Susato, help us?
Objection!
Mr. Ashley Milverton. Tell me, why did you try to hide your former name from the court?
Because I haven't gone by the name for years. It means nothing to me.
No, I don't think that's the real explanation at all. The truth is, you had a reason to hide that name.
Explain yourself, please, counsel.
I have here the notes from the Omnibus case, my lord. And as we all know, the victim, the man who we now understand to have been negotiating with McGillicuddy.
Yes, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
That's right, only Mason wasn't his surname at all, it was his given name. His full name was Mason Milverton.
Milverton? Do you mean to say, Saint's alive?
Mr. Ashley Milverton, is it not the case that the brickmaker, Mr. Mason Milverton, was your father?
I don't. As I believe mentioned earlier, your family history will have been thoroughly checked when you joined civil service. And it really would take no time at all for the court to subpoena those records.
The truth is you've been illegally acquiring highly confidential government information. And selling it on to McGillicuddy in collaboration with your father.
Oh, woo!
How's your arm, by the way? The new facts and evidence unveiled by the cross-examination of this witness all come together to reveal the truth. Well, we still have to prove that he killed Winterbank.
A truth.
So, yeah, it's a truth.
The truth is say.
That you collaborated with your father, Mr. Mason Milverton, in illegal dealings with Magnus McGillicuddy.
By dint of this music box, you mean, counsel?
Yes. Stealing information being sent in secret government communications and selling it on to McGillicuddy. Mr. Graydon concocted his elaborate scheme of using 2 music box discs to encode the information. As presumably a safety measure against information falling into the wrong hands.
And a very effective one. I shouldn't have given the scheme any credence whatsoever. But the deal with Mr. McGillicuddy went south, and the brickmaker met his end.
Yes, but before he was arrested, McGillicuddy managed to temporarily dispose of the stolen disc at the pawnbroker. Then, having learned of the situation, you appeared at Winterbanks 2 days ago. in an attempt to recover the two articles McGillett had placed in pawn there. The arm okay? Does it hurt? I hope it does.
But that attempt failed.
One of the discs was seized by the police and the other you never found. So that same night, you enlisted the help of the Skulkin brothers and broke into the pawnbrokery. This time, determined to recover the second disc.
Is his arm gonna start bleeding because he's motioning so much? Are you suggesting that the second disc was inside the music box?
We never knew nothing about that! On the night that Mr. Winnebago was killed,
The box was staged, so he took one of them.
the intruder to the pawnbrokery touched one item and one item alone. The music box.
As rather ingeniously demonstrated using the two prints from... Indeed.
So the question that naturally begs answering is this. Why was only that one article disturbed? The answer is obvious, because it contained the second disc which the intruder was desperate to retrieve. Since if it were to fall into the hands of the police, it would be proof of high treason. So he has it then, huh? Well, Mr. Graydon?
I mean, I would think he didn't bring with him to the court, but it is Ace Attorney.
Yeah, I mean, for all I know, he could have it on him right now. Do you deny
Which
that?
would be really interesting that, like, it with him during work. Oh yeah, it was with him during work, so he probably did have it.
True. Do you deny that all of this actually began on that fateful night 2 months ago?
Aye. Oh, hello there. Iris? Gun. I refuse to accept any of this nonsense.
Sir? Your arm. There appears to be blood seeping through the sleeve of your jacket.
What? Ah!
2 nights ago, we know that 3 shots were fired at the scene of the crime in Winnebank's pawnbrokery. 1 took the life of the pawnbroker himself. 1 struck the pouch around Mr. Sholmes' waist. The final bullet struck the calendar on the wall of the shop, having first pierced the arm of one of the intruders. Mr. Graydon, that wound on your arm that you seem to be trying to hide, it's a bullet wound, isn't it?
It's got you now, Bio China.
Time to call it quits in Kroger, I reckon.
Don't acknowledge my presence there under any circumstances whatsoever. Those were my terms, remember? And I paid you handsomely to comply. Clearly I was a fool to think I could just come on back slum thieves. Fine, I admit it. I was there in Winnebags that night. I paid this spare 10 guineas to accompany me. And as I've noticed, I sustained an injury in the course of my adventures.
But I didn't kill him.
But that is all. I admit nothing more. Stealing government secrets. Negotiate with Mr. McGill did. As God is my witness, I'm sure I recall nothing of the sort.
He's not going to go down without a fight. Not until I can show hard evidence, I suppose. Nevertheless, the defense has now established a crucial fact.
So now we're gonna do the door entrance, the little window.
That has to come up at some point.
It has to come out in this case because this.
Yeah. Well, we know that one bullet was fired from each of the two firearms we have in evidence. He asked where's the third gun then. The bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun hit the pouch around Mr. Shelves' waist. And the bullet from Mr. Winterbank's gun clearly must have been the one that caught Mr. Graydon on the arm.
So who killed Mr. Winterbank? It really must. We can rule out the possibility that the man shot himself.
In the back, no less, yeah.
Yeah. And Genie killed him.
No. And that leads us to only one conclusion. Mr. Winterbank was shot by a third gun. Which can only have been fired by the third intruder. Is it in his cane? Is his cane the gun?
Goodness!
Remember, there was no end cap on it?
Alright.
That's right, Mr. Graydon. The only person who could possibly have shot Mr. Winterbank that night is you.
Hold it!
Little upstart. You made a grave mistake when you summoned me here.
What? What's that supposed to mean?
Yes, as you rightly say, I was there at the pawnbrokers. I did my best to hide the fact, naturally. I had no intention to ruin the distinguished career I built for myself at the communication station. But did that thought never cross your mind? Did you never consider the possibility?
What do you mean? What thought? What possibility?
The possibility that if I was in the scene, I may have witnessed the crucial moment. You see, this makes me a key witness in this case, and I have my hands firmly around the neck of your client.
What?
Are you suggesting? I saw it all. I saw the very moment that pickpocket girl pointed the gun at the poor defenseless pawnbroker and shot him.
You what? No, you didn't. Shut up.
Order! 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 Well, it seems we're finally entering the last act of this theatrical trial.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge. We're bookmarking the final chapter. Mr. Graydon. Yes? I trust you're fully aware of the implications here. If it is shown that your claim is false, you will have incriminated yourself as the killer. Oh, I understand fully. And I'm asked to give you formal testimony once more. You explain to the court precisely what you saw at the moment the defendant allegedly shot the victim.
Alright. Let's see what he has to say.
Nothing will give me greater pleasure.
Except with looking in a mirror, probably.
Or masturbating.
The moment of the shooting.
While these ruffians was jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. When Winterbank threw the Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. The peephole that wasn't there.
There we have it. There we have it. That's it.
The accused in a black coat shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood spatter all over the wretched girl. Then, she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape.
Wait, what? Oh, the third gun, you mean? Okay.
Good gracious, this is quite an extraordinary testimony.
Yeah, only that there was no hole.
You claim, sir, under oath, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger. Order! 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 It wasn't my intention to testify in this way. But it also wasn't my intention to testify at all. But it is my intention to be found guilty of a murder I didn't commit. Well, you see, my hands have been forced. I'll tell the truth now as an act of self-preservation.
Right. The truth.
Until now, the prosecution was completely unaware of these details. Yes, well, sorry about that. Having shot me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. And as I said, she was showered in his blood. Oh, is he trying to claim that the code?
The code, yeah. No, we already know that's Mason's blood, so that's fine.
No, but the only way we know is because we use
oh yeah, I know.
Gun that
I know.
They really don't care about it.
I know, but the jury is probably. So, well.
Say the blood spattered out of the accused codes. Are you sure that's?
I mean, we can also prove that we can also prove that it's McGilded's code, and that he pawned it off, that he sent Beppo off with it, because we still have the receipt. So we can prove it by that.
Yes, quite sure. All over the black overcoat that pickpocket girl was wearing at the time. Really? If her code could somehow be shown to harbor vestiges of blood, that would be conclusive evidence here.
Oh, well, sorry, but there is no way that can be done, right?
Such an investigation is entirely possible, my lord.
Oh, what, now you're gonna allow it? Now you're gonna allow it? When you need it, when it helps your case, you're gonna allow it. Sure. What?
Don't worry, we haven't updated the autopsy report. Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood.
Oh, okay. So it's a different method then.
Oh, so it's not Chom's. So here's to true science, not some amateurish detective's dubious foray into the world of chemistry.
Rude. There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound.
Ideas are no use to us here. In science, as in law, theories must be proven before they stand.
Hmm.
In Germany, the technique has already been employed in the courtroom as basis of evidence. Scotland Yard has a small quantity of the chemical reagent used with your lordship's permission. We could shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes.
This doesn't look good, Runo. Why not? Well, we know, don't we? That there's blood all over the front of Ginny's coat. If they tested with their chemicals... Oh, help, you're right! I was forgetting what happened yesterday. Don't move, Ginny. I'm gonna shoot. It's a pretty purple. That's not Mr. Winnebank's blood, that stains from 2 months ago. It's Mr. Mason's blood. From when he was stabbed by McGilded, who was wearing the coat at the time. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution.
Overruled. Whoever seeks, make it so at once.
Sure, Captain Picard.
Engage. My pleasure, my lord. And while we await the results, the defense will see with it.
Sure. Once they find that blood on the overcoat, Gina will be...
Counsel?
Yes, my lord.
Your cross-examination.
Of course, my lord. This cross-examination doesn't go well. But I've managed to uncover some decisive evidence or a really compelling clue now. I have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial.
Now we have 2 Star Wars. We have a bad feeling about
No,
this.
I have a bad feeling about this. Do we just want to like press the statements with the hole in the door?
I think we want to press them all because we don't really have anything about the
Right. No.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not really in the.
we don't really have yeah, it's not even being like
Yeah, 'cause, like,
called upon.
No
So-
hole. Hole.
Oh, yeah. So we know
Yeah.
it is there and it's going to be relevant, but as far as we have in this trial, we haven't
That's true.
even
That's
touched
true. Yeah, we know. Leonoska doesn't.
Yeah.
So let's press everything then.
We're ahead of the game again.
Yeah,
so
again.
I think just press.
That's fun though. I'm actually surprised I noticed that as early as I did.
Yeah, that was actually a really good call.
Mr. Winnebago emerged from the storeroom, I believe.
Bingo, and Ash was scoring the
Scouring.
counter when
Yeah.
you suddenly scoring the counter when you suddenly appeared and flew at him.
Yeah.
He already had a revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close. Or so I thought. I've been so scared in all my life.
So he's lying right now. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, we're just your regular mild-mannered burglars. That's all. We don't like violence. Says the pair who carry a gun. What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance to the shop?
I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves of forfeited items.
Looking for the music box, of course.
The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined it, making 2 against 1. So I assumed they could handle the situation. But I was wrong.
I was trying to help me little bro, but the old geezer chucked me over the bloomin' counter.
So I pulled my gun on the old fella, and that's 2 men in Scarpa. Well, you setting upon the pool defenseless pawnbroker together? Shame on you.
There
There we go.
Hold it!
You mean that's the moment you were shot?
Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, boss. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the 3 men were brawling. It was at the exact moment that it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshot.
And the bullet went on to strike the calendar on the wall behind you. The calendar.
So it would appear. And I looked at my arm and saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later. It was just a gunshot wound. Did Mr. Winnebago intend to shoot you, do you think? Well, no, I don't imagine he even noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home. But I pulled my gun off and tried to shove me out of the way.
And then he scarpered through that door at the back.
At which point, what did you do?
The peephole, okay.
Hold it!
You mean you chased after him?
I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop.
Okay. What about this peephole in the door you mentioned?
Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom door is a solid job made out of stout wood.
But for some inexplicable reason, there's a hole in it to look through.
But there's a small opening in the headlight that lets you see what's in there from the inside, with a very specific symbol on the pole.
Yeah, exactly. Also, good thing that Iris brought Waggy today, right? So we can demonstrate it? Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. Yep.
Oh! What about your burgling brothers? Did you see what happened to this peephole as well? Not lighting up.
Didn't see nothing at the Chekhov.
I thought these buffoons were even aware of the people's existence.
So the Skulkin brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Winterbank take place. Oh.
Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and a young girl standing there. The defendant? Yes, though neither of them noticed I was looking. The girl raised her gun and pointed straight at the man.
Okay.
And then? What did you see next? And then?
And then what happened? Okay.
Hold it!
Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand. Well, that was Mr. Winterbank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Graydon, that bullet was fired at you.
Ah, but no. It wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from Winterbank's gun grazed my arm. And yes, the Skulkin's gun grounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely. A third gun. The broker's gun was not a murder weapon, so clearly there had to be a third firearm. In other words, the accused must have had her own gun with her at the time.
Objection!
Sure, she had a gun. But no other gun was found at the scene. I still think it's the cane. Is that funny?
Calm yourself, counsel.
Sorry.
You must consider the event in order. At first I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other, but then, all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. And it was at that moment he knew he fucked up. The little gutter rat shot him in the back. A chilling image, I must say. So he ran from you, and then he tried to what, back into you?
It's a bit stupid, isn't it?
Hold it!
It's like the sketch of the claustrophobic, agoraphobic. Like he's inside the house and you just hear, ah! And then he leaves the house, ah! And then he runs back in. Ah!
all over her?
Yes. To the peephole, I saw it clearly. Of course, the stems are invisible now. Why would the code be such a dark color? But I assure you, that garment is sullied with the victim's blood. With a victim's blood.
Yeah, with a victim's blood, yeah. Well, it is sullied with blood, that's for sure. But it's not Mr. Winterbank's blood, is it? No, that's right. It's Mr. Mason Milverton's blood from when McGill stepped
You
into
are
months
10
ago.
years old. It's not his blood.
So annoying.
Someone else, not a dead guy's blood.
They'd only accept the earliest chemical analysis, we could prove that. But they won't, so unfortunately we can't use it as evidence to support our case. Bother.
Then she lost the gun. just recreationally. She saw us, she heard.
Oops, wrong button.
Oh.
I meant to press that. Much as I hate to admit it, I don't see any obvious holes in his testimony. Any obvious holes? Holes, we say? You talking about holes? Well, you have to find a way to break this, man. Oh, I have a sword? And quickly, too, because once they discover the blood on the overcoat Gina was wearing, and it's over. It's a bit strange that he's so sure of himself about seeing blood spatter over Gina's coat. Doesn't strike me as the sort of thing he'd claim if he hadn't genuinely seen it happen. Oh, well, we know that Gina didn't shoot Mr. Winterbank, so what's going on? All I know is that it's very unfair. Why should some German scientist's test be acceptable as evidence when mine and Hurley's wasn't? Detectives can use test tubes too. Never mind that. I have to find a really stark inconsistency in this testimony somewhere. I have to find it before the prosecution discovers a blood stain on Gina's coat. Ugh. Okay, let me just go to that last statement and press that real quick.
Hold it!
Did I hear you
So
correctly?
what you're saying? Yeah.
She threw the gun out of the room?
You fought, the two of you fought. There was 2 gunshots, and then there was a 3rd gunshot, and then just decided to throw the gun off the hole.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Why would she throw the gun out of the room?
That's right. After the broken fell to the floor, she started walking over. Well, where exactly? And then she just passed out. In the direction of the storeroom door, to where I was watching. What, she threw the gun in your face? Of course, I quickly retreated. And then the girl dropped the gun to the peephole onto the floor on my side of the... For what? To what purpose?
Yeah,
why on earth would she
why?
do such a thing?
Why? No idea.
I don't know. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon, with all her fingerprints and such. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there in case any more tragedy. You full of shit. So it was you, in fact, who took the 3rd gun from the scene of the crime. Yes, it was yours truly.
Well, I don't doubt he took the 3rd gun. I just don't think that Gina had it before
I
him.
left the clue up to my lackeys and left.
Clear up?
We made a bit of a mess around the corner. Oh, let's set it up.
He thinks he's a blooming mum sometimes.
Well, I was paying you enough, by God.
Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the 2nd disc in your jacket pocket?
You little toe rag!
Are you okay?
Why, you little...
You okay there?
Excuse me!
Excuse me? Gentlemen!
Gentlemen!
Something wrong, Sunshine? I was just strangling him and...
That should be my line. You do realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin?
Why? This is a bit of a hooligan, eh?
What was going on just now?
You saw him. He grabbed me whistle. Why the blazes, he said. You didn't mention the 3rd gun when you got...
And why didn't you?
Cause we didn't know nothing about it. All the flying people in the door.
Because there was no people.
And there was no gun.
And there was no gun now.
Sorry about that. I can be prone to losing my rack sometimes. How hard are you? Lord, look at me. See the way he's looking at me? I'm telling you. He was in a willies.
That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite as worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone. Yeah, that wasn't like Gregsy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light no matter what I say to him. Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Cyrus. Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. Well, I guess we're gonna do the test after all. Oh, it's the other guy this time.
Oh, he's the other guy. Arresting your lordship. It was very soon to interrupt the cross-examination. Explain yourself, officer. I have the results of the test that was on the letter. Ah, the blood. On the accused of coat.
Ah, the blood.
Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended.
God damn it. Okay.
Gosh darn it. I presume you have no objection, Counsel?
No, my lord. Go ahead.
Well, there you have it. The report, police inspector. Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the over Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were firing following a gunshot. End of report.
A gunshot wound, you say?
Goodness me. Can you hear?
I was just gonna say, born to make history.
See? What did I tell you?
Objection.
No, just you wait. No, the blood on that coat is not Mr. Winniebank's.
Well, Earth makes you say that, Counsel.
The color! The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Windibank's, McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood on that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the Omnibus case.
Objection.
Well, the dead cannot speak. Is that right, my Nipponese friend?
But the color...
2 months ago in this very courtroom. Did you not argue fervently for Mr. McGilded's? And yet, now that the man is dead, you brand him as a murderer? I liked you more when you were my friend.
Same.
Any shred of respect you may have earned for yourself in this country.
That's fine. I can just leave. But that was...
I call it a ball in disgrace. Treacheries, that's what it is. Now, how to determine whether the blood of the... Oh. Even a stereoscope could help in the answer to that problem pop out. It can't be done.
But... We used Mr. Sholmes specifically for... Mr. Sholmes is a detective, not a chemist.
Would you put such faith in chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer?
I held out pierogi to starving boy and he ran away crying. Okay.
Okay. No secretary.
Sure.
Sherlock Holmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in his courtroom. No weight at all.
How could you say that?
Victory is sweet indeed. This proves that my testimony is the whole truth from start to finish. How do you arrive at such a conclusion, sir? As the witness said, the accused's coat was spattered with the blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could possibly have known that fact is if we saw it happen.
There was no hole there, though. Is that where we're going? Instead of arguing
In other
that...
words, his testimony is solid, and the conclusion is singular. He was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth.
Okay, well, let's stereoscopically look at the pictures again and see if, you know, the hole doesn't pop out.
Now time for the third summation examination.
Ah.
My lord, been a long battle this one, but this old warhorse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman? As of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision.
Mm-hmm.
Ready, men? All for one now. Guilty.
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 Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
How many fireballs do you have in this place? Time for the third summation examination. Well, it would appear the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached an... The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness's testimony. Here's to any attempt to make an unpicking the jury's decision being equally successful.
I don't believe it. After I've come so far, how's it all unraveling on me so fast? Who?
Sholmes? To be held in such low... Yeah, it is Sholmes. To be held in such low esteem. Oh. Will you agree, Mrs. Naruhodo? It is Sholmes dressed as a baby.
What the fuck?
Will you agree, Mrs. Naruhodo? Officer?
What?
You've delivered the report now. That will be all. Thank you. It occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruhodo. That scientific truths are determined not by science, but by none other than the human mind.
Hey, I know that voice.
Oh, so he is talking about Sholmes. Okay.
Am I going mad? Did you grow your hair out? Mr. Sholmes!
What? What is the meaning of this?
Oh, look at that pose.
The lag. This is still lag. Order.
Now that's an entrance.
What business do you have here, detective? The last I heard, you were recuperating in the hospital. As well as would be, had I not been set upon an errand. What errand?
Hurley, it's really you. You're awake at last.
Yes. Good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, if you will humor me. In what manner, sir? I have something of great importance I wish to give the young liar over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind as to spare us the time?
So are you gonna give me the contraption to make the holes now?
Hole. Yeah. What say you to this, Lost One Zeeks? This trial has taken many hours of the court's time. Yeah. Having spent so long already. Exactly. Having spent so long already, we don't want to go wasting any more time. As I was saying, having spent so long already, you would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. You're still my friend. Eh?
You're a tsundere. Very well then, counsel. You have 5 minutes.
More than enough. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's a picture.
I took 3 minutes changing. My dear fellows, I apologize for my totally right.
Mr. Sholmes, are you alright now?
All right, I'm all wrong.
Sorry?
I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. But I fear even that may prove too much for me. Pray, forgive me should I pass out.
The 5 minutes expire and he just like plumps like on his back right where he
just
stands.
Face plants.
Let's make this discussion as short as possible. Hurley, this place is full of idiots. No, see how wonderful your chemical
Ace Attorney in a nutshell. Well, the Gacho of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal by the scientific community. An oversight on my part.
Yeah, well, we can just do that in the future sometime, right? Right. Modesty? Surely not.
But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow.
Oh, I wonder who made that.
A
My
bento.
lunch. What's that? Lavender furoshiki wrapping?
A living presence from Miss Susato.
From Miss Susato?
If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor. Wait, did Susato make the hole?
It's a good question, actually. I don't understand.
Oh, there is an alarm going on here.
I really don't understand. Yeah.
Hold up. Sorry about that. Miss Susato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means both devious and underhand. And that you, Mr. Naruhodo, fighting fairly as you are, want to do. You are wont to do.
You're a want
Would
to do.
find
Yeah.
yourself in considerable peril. At the very moment of crisis, you are to be given this small parcel. Those are the dear's latest instructions.
A leaving presents from Susato-san. Whatever could it be? Well, it's gonna be notes on how a poison works, I guess. If hey, there we go. Hey, it is it. Look at that.
Susato make the hole in the wall
What
on the
is
door.
this? It's the machine I made. There we go. Look, I used this. My latest invention. What is that? I call it the cat flap-o-mat. You can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. What's Susie up to?
Miss Susato muttered the following words before she left. Susato takedown. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant.
Rude. What? Didn't she say something like that? What? You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. Whatever did you mean by that, Mr. Sholmes?
That night, when you left Windybanks in pursuit of the thieves, she made the hole in the wall. Miss Susato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. That's your answer, dear fellow.
Yep. Not at all cryptic then. Susato-san used this cat flap-o-mat that night, but why? A compact machine for the rapid creation of small flaps in larger doors to allow cats to come and go freely.
So how did Gray know about the door if Susato made it after?
Presumably he came back later?
Your 5 minutes is over.
We're out of time already.
I'm grateful to you for affording us the brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, Detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it really? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend would consider summation as... But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile. I wonder. Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes.
The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan?
The rest is down to me? I need to be careful here. If I make a wrong move, the trial will end badly. But no, the defense requests...
Further cross-examination?
Further cross-examination, actually, yeah, because I have now...
Yeah, because now we have the item for the door.
Yeah, exactly.
For the open. Yeah.
Yep. Further cross-examination.
Objection!
It was only suspended.
The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about a new witness.
Objection.
The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness, rather to continue with one of an existing witness.
What? It would appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
My lord, Request your lordship permission to interrupt the cross
Yeah, I was
examination.
just suspended. Just what I said just then. Yep.
Temporarily suspended.
Yep. No objections then, but now can I resume, please? So nobody can say anything then. Bruno asks to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon.
The court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd.
Oh well.
I will remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its rights to request the continuation of the cross-examination.
Mm-hmm.
However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings.
I don't need much time. It's fine.
Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity in concluding the cross-examination.
Okay.
Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness's testimony and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it.
Okay. A single chance to present evidence?
If, following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels? You will not press the witness any further. My lord.
Yes, my lord.
So no pressing.
But I don't need to press.
A
Fine.
single statement and a single piece of evidence. Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. I leave this in your capable hands.
Mr. Sholmes! It's not gonna zoom out far enough so we see him, right? No, okay.
This is like a tip of a foot.
Foot twitch.
Oh god.
Insouciantly?
Insouciant. Hold on.
Insouciant.
Oh, insouciant. So insouciantly.
Okay.
Before the to stand so insouciantly before the court in a state of such high fever. Either the man had extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling.
Both.
Yes. I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers.
Strike a man when he's down, why don't you?
Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared?
Mm-hmm. I know what to do. Yes. One statement, one piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down. Or Iris. Or Gina. And I won't waste this final chance that Susato-san has given me.
Do not waste your chance to blow.
This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial.
Very well then, under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination.
Alright.
So anyone that says holding the door.
Yeah. That's new music. Chopin, episode.
That is the hole in the door.
I could see him through the
You can see
peephole in
into
the
the
door.
peephole in the door.
Yeah, that was another statement. Let me just see what that says.
Oh, she threw the gun through the hole.
I saw that. She does the gun.
Yeah,
out of
she tossed the
peephole.
gun out of the hole. So either 3 or 6.
Yeah, probably either one of them. So let's just use this one.
Yeah.
The cat flapper-mat. Should we look at it? Oh, I can't.
Oh,
There's
it
no-
has little.
Well, the emblem. Maybe. Oh,
Oh,
it's just a saw. It's just a whole saw. Those vicious teeth look like they could rip through almost anything. They're good, aren't they? They're made of a special alloy I developed just for this job. The cutter rotates 10 times per second so I can get through any kind of door in no time at all. And what are the two parts at the top there? Oh, those are for attaching hinges to the section of a door that gets cut out. Right, of course. Nothing can match this machine for power. It can make mincemeat of even the toughest doors. It sounds so charming and friendly when you say what it's for, but it's like the reality of the cat flap mat is that it's a grim weapon of door destruction. Our guy's so adorable, there's nothing I wouldn't do for him. Even developing deadly weapons. All the things we do for our cats.
I will go to war for a guy.
Our evil overlord. All right.
I only know Wagahai for a few minutes, but if anything happens,
and myself. Okay. Are you ready for this?
Ikimashouka.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Objection!
Accidentally clicks the
That
box.
one.
I'm a lawyer! Well, this is an eccentric contraption, Council.
It's a hole saw. A very intricate hole saw. Oh, it's my cat flap mat, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. You can cut through any door you can think of and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. Shut up! Let me finish!
Stop music. I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves.
Let me finish! Shut up.
But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case.
It has every relevance. Let me finish. Oh, really?
I'm sorry, I have a picture next to it.
Yeah,
Of course
exactly.
it doesn't. To start with, there's no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door.
Oh, are you sure of it?
Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid of fate to see what this has to do with the matter at hand.
Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way, then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all.
Hey, I beg your pardon. A peephole, you say?
2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Winnebank had taken place.
That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Chalmers.
Yes, the 3 of us were together. And it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time.
Your assistant what?
There was a peephole in the storeroom door, I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom.
This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say?
Let me finish.
Of course there was a peephole at the door. I said as much as my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake?
Uh-huh. But that's where we differ. Yes, how could you?
What? Counsel? Kindly say what you mean.
Alright, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door. And until such time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through.
No. Oh wait.
Objection!
Isn't Wagahai in the court
Yes,
somewhere?
yes, I said that earlier. It's like, oh, how convenient he's here today.
Yeah, I know. It was like, why is he just allows? Is Iris just gonna make a cat flap in the courtroom?
Yeah, he's just gonna come in.
Yeah, it's a farce. I'm really suggesting that the peephole in the door was.
Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place by my judicial assistant using this device.
You are since the temple with the crime scene, whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions. That is a most serious act of vandalism.
For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes that I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes.
Yeah. Riddle with. Explain yourself, counsel.
The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door.
Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back.
However, if at the time of the incident, that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way you could have seen what you claim to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies.
Order. Is there any credence in this revelation?
Objection!
Credence. None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Exactly. This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me.
I bet that machine doesn't even work. I'm afraid not, sir.
Of course it is. You still expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door?
Well, let me demonstrate. Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors.
That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
What?
Waggy, can we count time for dinner? She already made one.
She made one already. Yo.
Well,
Nah. Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make gas flaps in the oak paneling of the Old Bailey.
one does not simply walk into a
One
courtroom.
does walk into the Old Bailey's courtroom. I'm not done yet. Don't worry. This doesn't mean that the people in the storeroom at the door in Winnipeg was made by your machine.
The photos, we have the photos.
Yeah, I had a photo. And there's no way you can prove that it was.
No, I can prove, don't worry. No, but it's easy.
It was the first thing you noticed, like, so we already knew the evidence of the case.
Cat flaps, my cat flap and my crates are all fixed size. And the dimension of the people at Windibanks are an exact match.
No.
Old Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris. Thank you.
And now it's my learned student friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial system has already left the...
Well, yes, that's true.
Then you may have some difficulty in establishing all the facts.
I have the photos, it's fine.
For the sake of argument, let's the peephole as the dimensions that perfectly fit for this contraption.
Okay.
In that case, when was the peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer.
Sometime between 1 and 1:30 a.m.
What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Van Zieks? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the peephole was created after the incident using this device.
Yep.
But now that the perpetrator has returned to their native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof.
Oh, no, there is. Don't worry. Don't worry.
And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation.
What? No, don't worry. We got this.
That is so, Lord Van Zieks. Well, Consul?
I got this. Don't give up now, Runo. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. I don't know if I can do this, but I know one thing. Susato said it's the greatest judicial system in the world.
Very well. The counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the people in the Winterbank cell room was created after the event and not before.
Sure,
The
I
photo
can.
of Gina.
There we go. 1 a.m. No hole. Right? Right.
Yep.
All right.
Take that!
There you go.
What are you? Appearing for the detective's infernal cameras again?
Yes, please pay close attention to the door. My judicial assistant, Miss Susato Mikotowa, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman. Which is why I never had any cause to doubt that you would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof.
And the necessary proof is this photographic print, Counsel? Yeah.
This print shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises.
Agreed. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielding a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker.
But more to the point. It pictures the storeroom door in the background.
Let me see the print again. Zoom in. I don't believe it. It really is quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description. Ah!
Mr. Graydon. You couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done. Because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. In other words, your testimony is a catalogue of lies. We evolved from a pack to a catalog now.
He is now in the center.
Oh, that's the breakdown. There he goes.
And he is back. And everybody's back.
That was a quick recovery.
Order. I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated his claim beyond all reasonable doubt.
Well, you okay?
This witness testimony was entirely fallacious. So he headbanged, he face task, he stood up and then face task again. That's not the only thing we now know beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with the crime scene. Cool. But more importantly... Good lord, that's more Lord Van Zeke's. The defense may establish a reprehensible insistence of perjury. But that is no proof that this man's the victim's killer.
Oh, now we get to find the third gun, do we?
What? Yes, that is right.
What?
I was there at the scene. It's true. I was shot in the arm. It's true. But that is all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here.
Oh, please, no! I don't believe this. But they're right as it stands now. I don't have any definitive proof that he's the culprit. Can we look at his cane? Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. Iris? You know what they say? There's no point in locking the cat's door after the cat is bolted. Isn't that right, Runu? Surly always says.
One
life
life
gets
gets
another.
another. Like, perfectly.
Oh, wait, no, that might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense.
Makes no sense. What do you mean by such a remark?
What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there is a fundamental inconsistency in your statements.
What?
Objection!
This is provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency. I mean, there is two. Not
Iris
being
was
able
right.
to see through the people, and you cannot see the code.
Yeah, I'm guessing we're going at the code. How would he know there's blood on there? Right? One lie begets another. The inconsistencies revealed by the lies in the witnesses' statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about. Namely,
The code.
the bloodstains on the coat. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The bloodstains that were present on Miss Lestrade's coat.
That's right. The victim's blood spattered all over her when she shot him.
Well, no. But how could you possibly have known that? No people remember.
Obviously, because I saw her do it to the peephole in the...
Can you repeat that for me, please? Slowly? The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing.
You're not making any sense.
Then let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door?
What?
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
You must have been there sometime between, you know, when it was created and when it
Oh,
wasn't there.
did Gregson talk to him?
Yes, probably. That's probably a good point. That's also a good point, yeah.
Has the cat got your tongue, witness?
The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred. And once I returned to the shop, having failed to catch the two burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Right, and they were there the whole day. He couldn't have returned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Since the time, the police have been at Winterbanks constantly carrying out their investigation. Yep, so Gregson must have told him. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson?
Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full of porn articles and Manette thoroughly examined them all. So I gave the order to have officers working around the clock in shifts so we get through it all.
And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Ah, true.
I like how the Skulkin brothers are still there.
Just like looking up. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the people in the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable.
Ah!
Objection!
And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place to the people in the door. How on earth is that possible?
Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zeeks?
Speak, Inspector.
It's just that I really ought to be getting back to putting my...
No, you're not leaving now. You're staying.
There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if it's all the same to you...
No.
Permission denied.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh.
It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all.
Mm.
You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes.
Thank you.
of course, sir.
Mr. Graydon. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else.
Objection!
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words that you just heard have extremely serious implications.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But the defense believes that the details about this case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be.
Who is the person in question, counsel? Yeah, it has to be Gregson.
Has to be, yep.
Take that!
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson.
Oh, do you think Gregson was giving information trying to get the second disc?
Oh, that's a good point. So it's like, hey, you get me out of here and I get you the second disc? Yeah.
So he was blackmailing Gregson, waving the carrot and stick.
Yeah.
Disc.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me?
Objection!
You had better have some proofs to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. When you said I have one item that proves, I was like, it has to be the disc, and then why? And then it just clicked, like, the other disc.
Consider the fact that we've only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learned of it during the course of the trial today.
Indeed, preparation for his testimony was made with great urgency on our long recess. While the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communication station.
And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea. No inkling he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Yeah, so he must have been told it either on the way or in court.
Are you suggesting that until such time he was summoned?
Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the peephole. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position. They would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder.
You're suggesting to the court that it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information?
Mm-hmm.
So he could commit perjury in order to save his skin.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had contact with is you, Inspector Gregson.
This is a bloomy outrage. Why would I be giving away details of our investigation?
Chomp chomp.
I was summoned by his lordship's chambers during the recesses in any case. Ain't forgotten that?
Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery. Which means... the first time the two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed following the reset. So the time that they were back to back?
Yep.
Since then, they'd be fully understand why such illicit discussions could possibly have occurred.
But need I remind you that I interrupted one of those discussions? Oh, I've just remembered something, Runo. What is it, Iris? There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Gina was testifying? Yes. Oh yes, now you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGillet's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it! It was during that testimony. There we go. I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then.
You little toe rag. You're making all this up. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke?
Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind? And then it starts to make more sense.
What deal, Counsel?
I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. Hmm?
I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that, if found to be true, striking a deal with any would be considered a gross case of malfeasance.
Objection!
Would you stop objecting, please?
It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is Nipponi's student's specialty.
I don't do that.
But with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidences of this diabolical claim.
Evidence?
Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness?
Hmm.
The court must see proof of this alleged deal.
Okay. Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon. But logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it. Or no? Do you think he could be... Mm-hmm. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle.
I must press you for an answer now, Counsel.
Okay.
What evidence is the nature of the alleged deal that Inspector Gregson may witness?
Could be the box
Is either
too.
the music box or the disc? I guess the music box because it's the one that shows the other side.
It doesn't say on the description though. Well, we neither does this.
Yeah,
I want to try the box.
I guess the music box makes it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to try the box.
It could be like an either or.
Probably either,
situation.
yeah.
Take that!
Inspector Gregson. Besides this murder, is it not true that you've been working on another very important case?
Well, are you getting that now, sunshine?
At this point, I think I could have also presented the newspaper. Is it possible that this other top secret case... There we go. Is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here. The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice.
Well, how the bleeding Nora could you?
You said it yourself.
We discovered during the course of this trial a music box deposited at Windibanks by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were Mr. McGillet's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the disc for details of the case.
You little... Ah!
Order.
On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windibanks, you said this.
Are we taking that whatever it is? Oh my goodness, down the... So hand it over.
No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine.
I'm sorry, miss. Anything belonging to my goodness has to be...
Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGillet was involved in the stealing of government secrets?
Our orders were... recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry. And do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush.
And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume? Because you knew that it contained highly confidential...
Blimey, unlikely. I mean, I wasn't that sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all.
Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of this music box disc, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness. To aid and abet this man giving false testimony?
There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known of the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these 2 men.
No,
I'm voicing a lot of people.
I can take a role if you want to, but...
If, and I stress, if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it will mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here, in this very courtroom.
Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that?
Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective.
What?
You wouldn't make a deal without proof?
Mm-hmm.
what's this supposed to be, eh?
As he's a policeman, the Inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly, he will not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, you have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand.
Mm-hmm, that makes sense.
Gracious. Then, you mean to say, Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has a second disc already on his person? Actually on this person?
Yes!
Yes! The defense demands that the inspector searched at once. Definitely. They had only struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before. Grexy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately.
Well, Inspector?
This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me in my profession quite enough. However, if your boy is matter to bed and dispel any doubts about, I'll be happy to submit to a body search.
What? He's going to agree to it? Someone searched that bag of fish and chips too.
I presume you are at the precipice on which you did not teach them, my learned student friend. You made a most serious allegation against our common yard here. If, following the search of the inspector personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end. And my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded.
That sounds serious.
Indeed, to have a visiting student make such a defamatory senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook.
You're just threatening Runa because you're scared.
The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequence.
Grave consequences. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must physically have changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. I say, search the bag of fish and chips.
Wait, did it switch to Nash when we was shaking him?
Oh my god, he did not.
Very well, Counsel, you know the implications, so let me ask one final time.
Yes, my lord.
Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector?
Search someone else.
Search someone else.
Sure, you're right. Let's do it. Let's look at Nash. Let's do it. Yes, the defense firmly demands the search be conducted. However...
Well, don't say you weren't warned. But your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well lend you hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good.
Fair enough. I got nothing to hide.
Very well then. Bailiff, conduct the search of the inspector personal effects, please.
No. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson.
What?
Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me.
No, Inspector, not you. Somebody else.
What's the meaning of this, eh? What's it at last? Have you, sunshine? The court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational.
Be quiet, all of you.
Whomst? Iris?
Oh.
Be quiet, all of you. Bruno's doing what you told him to do and having the courage to... Bruno's doing what you all told him to do and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way.
Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words.
You are? No, don't be lazy, don't be hasty, my lord.
Oh, now he's panicking. If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has the disc at the moment. There's only one person that can be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He passed to Nash when he was struggling.
God damn it, really though. God flippin' damn it. Nash! Off, my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin.
Oh, I never.
Huh? Me?
I love those two.
Well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects.
Hold it!
What? What is it?
Please, my lord! Inspector?
Scotland Yard has to object to his search.
Objection!
And why is that, pray tell?
Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here.
You have no power here.
Eh?
In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object.
Lord Verzeeks.
I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Bailiff, carry out the search.
No.
Hold on a moment. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing about all this. Get it out!
Ah! Ah!
Yeah, my lord. In the witness, since
Oh.
Sholmes was the other bailiff, the
That's probably the other one. Yeah, I found this.
bailiff like, I found this.
It's Mickey Mouse.
Good lord, that's
Another.
another music book. Oh,
Oh,
music book
another.
disc.
another.
Another.
Yes.
I know nothing about it. Nothing.
Hmm. That is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson?
Ah!
Order! Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself?
Gordon Bennett. This gun flame Bennett. It's clear I didn't know nothing about the disc. Honest to God.
Counsel, would you please explain exactly what is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck between this witness and this detective, no?
Without question, my lord.
And for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the detective traded for information?
Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment.
I don't recall. What unusual behavior?
It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket?
I mean nothing of the sort.
While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently.
Yeah. He didn't know. Noggin was gonna follow clean up. I was wishing. Born as me brother I was.
And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that?
I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me and whistled like... Why the blazes didn't you mention the third station? That's what he said. Yelled right down me ear hole he did. Me head still throbbing now.
The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc.
Oh, bless my wig. He hid it.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid I fail to comprehend the motive here. The detective had acquired the disc he was after. Why on earth would then proceed to hide it in another pen's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence.
That's not where his priorities are right now.
It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions.
What is more? The government medium used to convey the secret state from the ministry. And do it on a QT, strictly hush-hush.
Hush hush. Top secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information study comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if that information were to be revealed in the court as evidence, it would be problematic.
Hmm.
Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? Wait, are we gonna hear both of the discs, meaning that everybody who knows Morse code is gonna hear
I
this?
sure hope not.
I'm operating on direct orders from the ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question.
So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searching here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness.
Hmm.
Ah, does this mean?
He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close to him. To slip the second disc into his pocket.
So it was all a pretense?
Hmm?
I don't know, Inspector GREGSON, and you, Mr. Graydon. Are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you? Deal. Admit to it? Yes, truly. Please.
Mr. Graydon.
Clearly, our student visitor has uncommonly active imagination.
Not really.
However, there is no proof that I passed this to the inspector.
Objection.
But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole?
I'm under no obligation to explain.
What?
Yes, I lie in my testimony. That I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit.
Hmm.
Mother, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with a detective. What this young Gis's man fancy. I have no idea what any of this is about.
You... What? Well, what about you then, Inspector GREGSON? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc? No. Why would he?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as Scotland Yard Inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interests of the country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice.
Hmm.
So, as members of the public in this fine country, I like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decision.
I'm not from this country.
Yeah.
This is quite a quandary indeed.
Quandary, yeah.
Quandary, indeed. Rarely have I encountered so extraordinary tumultuousness in the conclusion of the trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented,
Hmm.
I believe it is time we put the matter to the jury for the final leanings. Well, as a fellow servant of the Queen of the country, I must say I sympathize with the audience.
Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character.
Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to this case. It's all blood to me.
Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really.
Graydon is highly skilled operator. Stop. Currently, business is vital. Stop.
Has she been gushing this entire time? The detective has very much trust in lies. More than this, I cannot say. I don't believe it. These 6 jurors are... They're going to believe Gregson. If they declare their decision now... Is Gina going to be found guilty? I'll manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, then...
Just play the discs.
Yeah, prove the... play the... I don't know. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Winnebank, or stole those government secrets. Or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness.
I guess. Yeah. Hello, Council.
What else do we have?
Well,
Oh, we have the story. Let's present the story.
Have you heard about the Omnibus? I think.
Is this gonna hinge on like the third gun now?
No, I think it's specifically about the new disc that we haven't actually gotten yet. So maybe
are we going? I don't think we're
maybe-
gonna. I don't think we are
yeah.
gonna. I don't think we are gonna get it. That's the thing.
I think it's time we impose the jurors and declare the final decisions, no?
Hmm.
That is, unless you have some compelling evidence they have thus far not presented to the court.
Hmm. I'll let the judge call the jurors to announce their leanings. Gina will be found guilty. So there's no choice then, Ringo. You have to throw some more evidence at them. This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against, Gregson or Graydon?
Hmm.
What would I present? What would I present though?
I think Gregson and Music Box. Because ultimately he's saying, I will do this. The Music Box, by putting that, the only way that you are proven right is if the 2 discs are played together. So that would show everybody that it is Morse code, which means Gregson did want the disc for this, and therefore he struck a deal. And also, because of the disc with blood, it would also prove that
yeah,
Graydon
there's still some
wanted
plausible deniability though, because the disc wasn't on him. I mean, I can try.
Yeah, I would say Gregson and the disc.
Inspector Gregson, there's one final piece of evidence I would like you to see.
What's that?
If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with the witness here today, it'll leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly.
Yeah, because if you say I did not strike a disc, then technically there would be no problem of playing the 2 discs together.
Yeah, I guess so.
Right.
Yeah. I guess so. I guess that is what we're going at here. Just like sort of blackmailing him. It's like, hey, if you don't tell us, we're gonna leak all the government secrets.
Yeah.
So you said Music Box, right?
Yeah, the Music
Try that.
Box.
Yeah. Okay.
Take that!
There we go.
Is my goodness peculiar Music Box, Council?
Yep. Yes, with the disc already in place, ready to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the Music Box again. Only this time... with the second disc we've just discovered set in place as well.
There you go.
Yep. Okay.
Goodness, this is Council.
Oh, Gregson.
Yeah,
There we go. Okay, yeah.
I can't let you do that.
Can't let you do that, Star Fox. Why not?
Why not? Because,
Because it's got nothing to do with this case. That's why.
Okay.
Objection!
Why is it a problem then? Not true, Inspector. The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the quote earlier from this music box were part of a Morse code message. We know that Morse code comprises of 2 distinct tones. The defense believes that the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message. And now we have a chance to confirm the theory.
For crying out loud, Sunshine. We're talking about state secrets here.
Oh, are we?
If you go letting the whole courtroom hear confidential information like it's treason.
Then do you admit the charge? That in order to protect those state secrets, you engaged in unlawful dealings with the witness? Okay, so we did actually go to blackmail here, yeah.
Yeah. You're mad.
Oh, boy.
I'm gonna play it. You let the secret information out into the public domain. You'll be making a name of the entire British government, you idiot.
Objection.
Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, as Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness. Did you continue to lie to the court, and all because, by fair means or foul, you determined to your duty? Well, by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine.
Don't you dare.
I will stop at nothing to protect my client. I don't care what I make an enemy of. It's like, oh, this is entertaining.
Well, don't stop now.
This is fun.
Don't stop because of me.
My lord, if you please, the court must hear the sounds made by the music box.
Come on, Francis. For Pete's sake, stop him.
I don't see why I should.
Objection.
Oh, come on!
I missed the part where there's micro. Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I'm a prosecutor. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet. In this courtroom, my duty is to the law. So, let me propose a toast. To uncovering the truth. By fair means or foul. The new bromance blooms. Well, the defense says here and that of the prosecution has been made very clear, I feel. Therefore, in accordance with the defense request, the court will now listen to this music box as set in operation once more.
All right, let's do it.
This time, with a second disc in place and both discs playing simultaneously. Oh, listen to that. It's unmistakable now.
Let's go. I'm still checking everything. All right, a minute. Whatever you want. But for the love of God, shut that blooming box up.
I wonder if somebody did the translation for this and see what the message was.
Let me ask you again then, Inspector Gregson. Did you or did you not strike a deal with the witness next to you in the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon?
Specifically, did you furnish the witness with additional details in exchange for this music box list? Did you reveal the existence of the peephole in the... Inspector?
I did. Stop. What are you doing, man?
He's damning you with what he's doing.
It's exactly like the young Eastern lawyer said. When the trial resumed after the recess, and we were stood here in the stand together. That's when he approached me with a deal.
Shut up, you imbecile! Shut up!
Now.
You're the detective who turned up the pawnbroker the other day, aren't you? I may have something you're looking for, Inspector. With me, at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept. Or information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed.
I couldn't let that information become public now. Not under any circumstances. So I accepted the man's proposal, and told him details about the case that should put it in the clear. The people in the storeroom door, and the bloodstains on the overcoat.
By giving false testimony, this witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that. Yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury.
I did. But then it turned out the people had only been made that. I wasn't aware of that. I'm perfectly honest.
Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? There's nothing and no one left for you to hide behind.
Shit, it's so late.
I know, you struck a deal with the inspector in order to keep conviction of a very escape conviction of a very serious crime. Namely this. You are the third intruder who broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor, Mr. Pop Winterbank. Oh, don't shoot at me. Okay, it actually is a cane.
Oh.
There we go.
Traitor!
Whoa, hey,
Hey! Thank you.
Ouch.
You just perform a high leak maneuver. Bailiff! Restrain that mate! At once!
Well, it's all over.
Credits roll?
I guess that's Ashley. Should I read that to give you a rest?
Despite my life growing up, those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth, born into poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. The little money they had was never spent on me. So, I set about studying to better myself, to one day escape from the hellhole. And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination.
But then you decided to sell government secrets?
How do
Why?
you decide that?
Yeah. And why?
You know what? I'm gonna sell some secrets today. Isn't it
No.
obvious? Because I wanted money.
Well, it isn't obvious, is it? Okay.
Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me in the small hours. I wanted to drown them out with more money than anyone who lived in the squalor could ever imagine. Then one day, I met him. Mr. Magnus Magiotin.
You're a fiend with acquired talent, so you are. I've managed to toy in the way if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with me right now.
I was to steal the ministry's telegraphic message logs, and Magiotin would buy them from a handsome sum. As I was responsible for the inspections of the ministry communications office, it was a simple enough task. They lured the devil's offerings. How easy it is to succumb. But you must surely have realized that the seriousness of the crime you were committing. For that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable. By using the music box. My father was a brickmaker, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child.
Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton.
That's right. He was very skilled with his hands. He'd once been a music box maker apprentice. I imagine his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that would generate Morse code. So, I sought out my father again, to employ his services. It was the first time I'd seen him since I left the slums 10 years earlier. Oh, Sly Fox. You're a Mason.
Look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you've become, huh?
He was a different man to the one in my memory. Thin, frail on man. But poverty had never broken him. Never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure that it wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason. So, I made up a story. I got some work for you, father. I need some music box discs I made.
Music box discs, huh?
A musician friend of mine has written some music out to the public. I brought this call with me. There are two, actually.
Might be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, though. Fetch my tools, would you? Down the loft.
That's how I had him make two discs. So the first time you tried, your dad died? Thereby splitting the information in two. You're taking considerable precautions indeed. It was to protect myself as much as anything. He meant that I could deal with my Graydon in two separate transactions. The first involved the first of the two discs and the music box for playing them. I exchanged them with my Graydon from 10 guineas. Then, on receipt of the second disc, he would pay 1,000 guineas.
So, what happened on the Omnibus 2 months ago? Was the second part of the deal? The exchange of the second disc?
Yes. I told the man information that way a number of times already. But it seems he became reluctant to part with his money. But that doesn't quite make sense, Mr. Graydon. For why was it that on the Omnibus 2 months ago? Your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with Mr. Graydon, not yourself. When I received 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings with my Graydon, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. When my father realized something was amiss. In time, it worked out that I must be involved in something dubious, and when he did, he said to me,
Next time there's an exchange, you let your old man do it, understand? Otherwise I won't take your money anymore.
that was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from my Graydon. I said, that's it. I had no idea what was actually in the discs I asked them to make. I never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went so horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home. It was only then that I found out what sort of monster my Graydon really was. So after 10 years of no once uttering, I swore on my father's name. To exact revenge. So you killed my Graydon.
Revenge?
As anyone with even the remotest knowledge of the man will know loud. My Graydon brought all his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable of ways. To crush any semblance of justice. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, and witnesses were bribed. The trial 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish.
My feet had barely touched British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest, completely unaware of the sinister background to it all.
I made plenty of money out of my daily guild, so I spent nothing in my arrangements 2 months ago, and I said he would. If you're willing to pay the price, the people in the city willing to do anything you ask.
Who fixed this cane?
Here's another one. Money. Part of money. McGill himself has shown me that.
Are you saying that?
You paid somebody to kill McGill?
Hmm.
I think you have the good picture now. After he twisted everything to his favor in his courtroom to ensure that he walked free, I took matters into my own hands and delivered the justice that monster deserved. Was he the bailiff that called McGill that tragic accident following the trial here 2 months ago? Was planned and executed by yours truly.
McGillet's death that day was caused by this man.
Okay, so it's a closed loop, so
Yeah.
everything is ready, so if you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. Then Giselle Brett is just the one thread that isn't connected. I thought it would connect up.
Well, either that's just like that first case throwaway shit, or it's gonna come up in the second game.
Oh, we don't know what exactly was in the disc.
That's true.
It could be like a teaser for the next. What's this, officer? This one was that to believe. I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. It's time for the inspection. We're going to examine the Omnibus again, so I'm told. Ask if I could be present for myself.
So that policeman who came to tell McGill he would examine the omnibus again.
That's right. An imposter. Hired by me.
Alright.
Oh, okay. McGill used his wealth to manipulate the trial.
And I used my wealth to manipulate it back.
He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all. He threatened witnesses to lie in the testimony. So he gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin, one of my sham policemen just ushered my gilded inside and sent him on a one-way journey to hell. An eye for an eye. That's how I avenged my father's death. A spy and cheating account indeed. But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see.
A loose end.
Beppo. Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with McGill. Oh, yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly because he had been removed from the scene of the crime.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized he was missing. I remember something. Something from the first time I doubted my gilded. She's the first that do this.
No.
And the music box
Wrong guy.
needs to play.
Wrong guy. Wrong guy.
There's
Wrong- Wrong guy.
I was making fun of me. This is the first of the two discs, and the music box needs to play them. Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guineas for you, young man. What's this? Windy Bank's pawnbrokery? Aye, just a pawnbroker ticket, so it is. You can use it to redeem an article I've deposited there for you. There's no need to give a name. Just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend the watchword. I put the jewelry in a pot for you. You've had a good 10 guineas if you sell for it, so it will. I never heard of the pawnbrokery being used in quite a way before. Have you not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokeries are very useful places, you know. Each one of them like an extremely secure vault. So many dots. So, I knew that if you'd taken steps to hide the disc, you would be in that pawnbroker somewhere.
Makes sense.
And that on the night he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone.
Yep. Yes, to Gina. I remember now that when we first met you at Winterbanks that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Miss Lestrade written down. Mm-hmm. How did you know who you were looking for?
From the child, that pickpocket's testimony was clear and peculiar. Anyone could. I realized immediately that she was another of my gilded pawns. I must have threatened her somehow. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket. So, I started to make some inquiries. I had a strong suspicion the girl would come out of the woodwork under the redemption deadline.
And he was absolutely right.
And yes, sure enough, she did. All I needed to do was wait until the girl went reading the article. But unfortunately, she redeemed only my gilded silver coat and the one disc that was in his pockets. The all-important music box with the second disc inside was missing. Because he'd been already to be forfeited 2 days earlier. But I was unaware of the fact. Had it not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion.
Meanwhile, our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing.
This is so long.
We picked the fact that Magilda was involved.
Well, they have to wrap up the whole story now. Inspector, you've recovered fast.
And there is an epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible. So we started gathering the fellow's possession and all, and examining whatever we could. Got a full-scale investigation going to the yard, but we had to keep it as quiet as we could.
Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbroker that day, I became nervous. I was sure that the music box and the second disc was still there in the shop somewhere. So I knew that it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did.
So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night. With the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers.
What happened that night in the pawnbrokery, I can only describe as a nightmare. While Nash and Ringo was searching the counter, I located the music box that stood Magillian on the shelves for fated articles. And the second disc was inside. Yes, I slipped into my pocket with a very... But then, something entirely unexpected happened.
What are you doing in my shop? Bang.
Bang. A gunshot rang out in the shop, and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm. The broker fired his gun and the bullet pierced her limb. Yes, exactly. But unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case.
Bang.
I'll do a bang as well. Before I knew what was happening, I'd fired back. The man had already turned to flee. I hadn't intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit home. It struck in the middle of his back as he fled through the storeroom door for refuge. Sorry tale. It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Nash and Ringo even realized what happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. And that's the whole story. That's everything that happens at Windbanks on that wretched night. I don't care. Earlier, you called McGill a monster. A man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crime of murder. What tragic irony. For what you have done, it's exactly the same. You've become the very monster you saw and despise so deeply in McGill. Yes, I think I have. Well, this has been a long and exhausting.
I agree.
However, you seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon? He's been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be tried with the murder of Mr. Windybank and the stealing of government secrets.
Good.
Very good. So he'll die. And you,
Twice.
Inspector? He'll die, he'll be brought back and die again. Regrettably, you have to face charges yourself.
They're gonna kill him so much he's gonna die to death.
Yes, my lord. Of course. It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. That fact remains, whether or not you are doing so in the line of... The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable.
Ah, poor guy.
Now to the defendants, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Oh, yeah.
Time for the final adjudication. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Yes, sir. Guard up squad is standing by, sir. That's really it now. This is really it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver the verdict. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Farewell, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You will now declare your final decisions to the court.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Oh, that's a sight for sore eyes. That's the stuff. I'm off the hook. Finally,
And now
ran
you're
out.
going to be arrested for
You
a
finally
lot of
managed
petty
to do it.
thievery.
Yeah, exactly. No, stop pickpocketing. Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd come out on top for a while there.
Finally is the word.
Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world. Yeah, I won like 4 cases.
Mr. Strahd, I am not finished with you yet.
What? What are you looking at me like that
Is it
for?
gonna be about perjury? Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider.
Eh?
2 months ago in my courtroom, you gave
no.
false testimony.
No, threatened.
Did
Threatened?
you not?
Threatened.
And in relation to the trial today, not only bank
well.
brokery, also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGildat's property, it seems.
Eh? I never done nothing of the sort. Of course not. Not like you were gleefully wearing McGillis' coat in your cell yesterday or anything. Aw, and just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Gina this evening.
And turning our attention to the defense.
Yeah, sorry.
determining that when played together, the music box that this contained a message in Morse code was obvious. Oh, certainly a most unexpected revelation. Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast. Holy shit, he's acknowledging us! To demanding the government secrets be disseminated before the entire courtroom.
Very sorry about that. It was the only way that I could get Inspector Gregson to admit what he'd done, so... Is that juror number 5 gonna tell us that it was bullshit on those discs? Isn't that? Yep.
Yep. It's about the sounds produced by the music box before.
Was it actually bullshit?
I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all.
What? What are you saying, madam?
Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatical. So much that the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes to me, in fact. Goodness, madam. No healthy level of obsession, one feels. But I must say that in my opinion, the sounds produced by those 2 discs were nothing more than that. A mini series of 2 different... Of 2 different tones.
Yeah, not like serious, like S-C-R-I-E-S? Yeah. Okay. What? What? Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all? So did Grayson just dupe them?
Oh, are they gonna put it in Sholmes' machine? For like the
No,
analysis?
I'm gonna guess Grayson just duped them. Just put bullshit on and go cash in for it.
Oh, the defense was...
Are you okay?
Hmm?
Are you okay? Do you want me to read some more of what you're reading? I've been offering, but you're still reading all the roles, so
Can you get jury number 4?
I can do the judge too if you want. My lord, the defense would like to listen to the music box again.
I offer not. How many times I have to tell you? Those discs contain ministerial secrets, sunshine.
This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of the government communications. You know, my guild conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies. Secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. Now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue the matter further.
But it's really gonna bother me. Oh well.
Mr. Strahd?
Yeah, my lord?
That which you have seen today here in this courtroom has falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a green catalog of depravity. Napoleon experienced it before any child.
Come on, it ain't nothing I don't see most days in the back slums.
I beg your pardon?
If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Gina. But look, I reckon I'll work something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you wanted to change, you gotta start at home. You gotta change how you are yourself.
Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I really look forward to the Born Again, Mr. Strahd. Never.
Or maybe in a different role, who knows?
Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Whitneybank, proprietor of pawnbroker business of Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Strahd.
Yay! Oh! Fireworks, there we go.
And now
Yeah,
for
yeah, no
1
more
hour
fireworks,
of
let's go!
plug. Hey, shit me up.
Is it the rainbow one? Oh, heck yeah. That's
Hey.
pretty. Since when did that do fireworks too? I thought it was only for smoke.
That is all. Code is adjourned.
Heck yeah.
I guess it's just a projectile. It just does whatever it does.
Yeah, probably. Looks like it. Oh. Private time. Hello.
Hmm.
Do you have a glass for me too?
You can throw the bottle here. On a personal note, I must say you surprised me, my Far Eastern friend.
Oh. A compliment. I'm not used to those.
Despite being Nipponese, you saw through the pretense of the malice that festered within that Englishman. At the same time, saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your English client. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures.
I don't think there's anything curious about it. Whether we're from the Empire of Great Britain or the Empire of Japan. We're all human beings. We're not so very different on the inside.
Not so different, you and I.
No.
You know, I took this case. Oh, whoa, okay. I took
Mhm.
this case for one very simple reason:
You're into me, right? That's it.
to lock swords with you once again here in the courtroom.
Told ya.
Oh,
Told ya. You did?
when I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, you reminded me of toasting friendship and trust with another Nipponese, only to find my trust betrayed. Oh, backstory.
Do tell. Do tell.
Through you, I hope to look into the eyes of the man I once knew and try to understand.
You mentioned something similar earlier today. About total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly?
Right, so he was betrayed once and became a is that an incel, but a well, you may ask. And one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not. Are we gonna have to defend him in court?
Alright. Then I'll wait for that day if I must.
Because that's the only way we've learned about people here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Coming to me now as the Reaper of the Bailey and my retirement service 5 years ago. It gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. Well, we can find something deep. Oh, okay. So,
Oh.
farewell, my learned Nipponese fellow. Until we meet again. My
Holy
outfit
shit.
smells like wine for some reason.
That glove must be soaked by now.
Maybe he wears hydrophobic outfits.
It's just everything's covered in Vaseline.
This is very slippery.
It's done. It's over at last.
No, it isn't. There's still a prologue.
After a fucking year. Where's Iris disappeared to? She catching Waggy? Hello, Gina. Ah, congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent. Well, you did what you said, Mr. Naruto. You believed me, right up to the end. You're as odd as your name. What's odd about it? I told you I had faith in you, didn't I? No one ever asked before, see? Kept a promise, I mean. Probably. That's awful. I figured something out today. All my life growing up in the slums, I've never trusted no one. That's just because I've been scared of being stabbed in the back. I mean, the more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down. You just ask Van Zeeks, apparently. Yeah, so I think I can understand that. After all, I had to taste of that trial 2 months ago. Trust someone and paid for it. That betrayal left a big scar. You know though, Gina, I worked something out quite recently too.
And also never to trust Irishmen. That's the thing to know here. That's how everyone works.
Exactly.
Get betrayed by an adult, all adults are betrayed. Betrayed by Japanese, all Japanese. Betrayed by an Irish, all Irishmen.
Exactly. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. And when your gut tells you it's the right thing to do, and your trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank for reminding me of that valuable lesson. Ah, well, if you say so. Don't make a fat lot of sense to me, though. I'm trying to say that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure. For crying out loud, pack it in. Sorry, what now? Putting stuff in you has been a pleasure, pack it in. Yeah, okay. But I suppose
No, we
I
had
sort of
a
feel the
deeper
same way.
conversation with Von Zeeks already.
I mean, sometimes trusting someone else is, you know, alright.
Oh,
Thanks.
and I blacked
This
out.
is the way I see it, Ryunosuke.
Should we
A
get
defense
RPG to,
lawyer
like,
is only as good
feel
as
like-
his faith in his client.
I'll just send him the lines and he can read and I'll dub them in.
Yeah. Oh, we put
And
like
that
Google
comes down to
Translate
how
next
much
to
faith
text.
he has.
I'll just do
In
a
himself.
text-to-speech to put. I'll get the sexiest text-to-speech that I can find.
Yeah.
After this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean. Cosmo, you're living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer you believed I could be?
Am I a big boy?
Am I a big boy now? Am I worthy of your armband? Who is it?
Oh yeah, how is Sholmes,
Oh, hey,
by the way?
Sholmes! There he is.
Oh, speaking of which, what the deuce does it mean have to do to me know this about him?
I don't know, blow bubbles? Ah, that voice.
See you later. That voice now, Mr. Naruhodo. I've been standing here patiently in the corner of the room for an eternity. Yes, it was me all along, I would have said when finally you noticed me. But you people, with your incessant babbling.
Ah, Mr. Sholmes.
Yes, it was me all along. You see?
Well, now I do.
The other fucking bailiff.
I'd assumed you'd been taken back to the hospital, to be honest.
Indeed I was. But I managed to escape again.
Shh, of course. Oh,
I happen to be aware of one of two... Hold
foibles?
on.
That's a foible.
Foible. Foibles. Okay, thank you, Google Translate. One or two foibles, the doctor was sending to me. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me with the leave of absence.
How very above board.
But enough of my adventures. It was a fine victory, Mr. Naruhodo. Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I feel.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations are in order. As a close fan, I tip my hat at you.
Oh, thank you.
Close friend.
Some great detective you are. Great at being cold as ice, maybe.
Have I irked you in some way, Miss Lestrade?
What have you been having a snooze in your nice soft bed? Some of us have been fighting for our lives.
Ah, well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, it is true. So I have indeed been feeling somewhat cold, not perhaps cold as ice, but, well, I have a few.
Where exactly? Could you take your hands off my neck, please, Mr. Sholmes?
Wow, you have a large neck.
Uh,
And in some way, I suppose, congratulations are in order for you too, Lestrade.
it's rude to point at people. What's that supposed to mean? Why so laugh at it?
Well, naturally, it isn't my intention to alarm you, but... An acquittal on a trial with that particular prosecutor is perhaps a little precarious.
Well done, Mr. Sholmes. Not alarming in the slightest. Oh, the Reaper, you mean? Because anyone who's found not guilty in trial he was working on winds up dead anyway? Is that it?
The very point I was trying to make. As exemplified by the fate of Mr. Magooden, in fact. Hey, it's a second Natsume, it's fine. Ah, but
Yeah.
of course, I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself.
Yeah, well, it don't bother me.
Oh, really?
course not. The way I
Teleports
see
away.
it, the Reaper's a bit like I'm upstairs. Oh, him upstairs. Him upstairs? You mean like God? Yeah, him upstairs knows what's what,
He's a
right?
little upstairs. Cool, good for you.
He knows what people are like on the inside. He won't have got it in the wrong end. He won't have got the wrong end of the stick. There's some cuffs like the bog trotter what are rotten to the core. And at the end of the day, him upstairs makes sure they get what they deserve. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Divine justice is one thing though, the Reaper taking matters in his own hands and claiming lives is another. Well, I ain't like McGillis of this world, so I ain't scared. I got principles, see.
A treasure which is to be admired, Mr. Lestrade.
Boy, just give it a rest, alright?
As I was saying, congratulations are in order. The news of your acquittal was very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina.
Well, there you are, Hurley. How long have you been here?
Well, he's dead.
Honestly, I went to the main entrance especially to meet you there.
Ah, Iris, my dear, I do apologize. But why don't you tell what happened? This spam with other fools of themselves.
What happened?
As you know, I have a penchant for these guys. I was hiding in this room that's as a bailiff. But these don'ts didn't even notice my presence at all. I had no idea. Can you imagine, Iris? Would you credit it?
I'm not sure really.
I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, Hurley, but you just don't have the weighty presence you seem to think you have. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's going to land you in trouble one day.
No. I'll be careful.
Ouch. Anyway, it's such a shame. I was hoping to throw a party for Ginny tonight, but you won't be able to come, will you? Don't look like I'm gonna be going nowhere for a while. You're the judge's patter. I got stuff to make amends for, apparently. All them offenses. What was again? Breaking and entering, taking the box for the stuff, what was in the lug, blah blah blah. Yeah, so I think you'll find that basically being a pickpocket is the main offense.
Petty theft.
Uh-huh. But diving ain't an offense, there's a job in it. I don't think so. Still, this got me thinking all this. Maybe I should start looking for another line of work. I mean, you didn't start off as a lawyer, did you, Otto? Well, no, but I was never a pickpocket. Well, anyway, I reckon I could make a change. I'm gonna do something for them lot like me from the slums. Something that makes a difference for them. That's a wonderful idea, Ginny, and I'm sure you can do it.
Everybody has a weird.
Oh. Nothing.
Oh.
Oh, heck.
Monsieur Lestrade, the prison carriage has arrived, ma'am. Come with me to the rear gate at once.
Oh, well. Right. Well, looks like I'm off then. Yes, goodbye, Gina, and good luck. Otto? Yes?
Oh, well.
Don't kill me.
Vilaska, you can do something.
Don't kill me.
Uh-oh.
Ah! What was that for? I don't know, I mean... I don't know what to say, so...
Ah, indeed. Perhaps the situation calls for a phrase hitherto missing from your vocabulary, Mr. Lestrade.
Thank you. Eh?
On occasions such as this, I would recommend a simple thank you.
Oh. Oh, yes. It's good advice, Ginny.
But that was the thank bullet.
Right, I see. Well... Thanks, Otto.
Oh. Hugger! Now, everybody. The bailiff too.
Oh. Thank you for everything what you've done, for believing in me. Not at all. In fact, that should be my line. Thank you, Gina. Well, there she goes. I wonder if I'll ever see her again. Probably in the next game.
Well, quite the indomitable pig purse.
Oh, I nearly forgot. I bought a paper outside. It's a special edition, and this trial is all over the front page. Pickpocket's innocence proven. Isn't it wonderful? You should have shown it to Gina, Iris. She would have been thrilled. Oh no, how silly of me. But anyway, would you like the good news or the bad news? Not again. Well, what do you say, Bruno? Really? As usual, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first.
Absolutely not. I have no intention of listening to anything but good news.
Oh well. And there you have it. How people answer that question says a lot about them, doesn't it? Let's not go there. Alright then. Maybe let's start with the good news this time. The rain has finally stopped. It was a record level of rainfall apparently.
Oh.
I'm sure that's not gonna come up anytime again.
Well, that is good news indeed. We can journey back in greater comfort.
Alright then, what's the bad news? 221B has been flooded. The huge storm has left the seas very choppy. Oh no.
Oh, so that means that Susato haven't gone yet?
Yeah, probably. The channel in particular is awful, so things that have
yeah,
has been delayed by a day or more. Yeah, she's not...
There you
Yeah. Hey, Dover. That's right, if we head to the station immediately, we may still make it in time to wave Susie off. That's the bad news.
I mean, the bad news is that everybody gets fucked for it.
But
It's good for us.
it won't be a train, surely. We couldn't be that lucky.
Who do you think I am, Mr. Naruhodo?
A train conductor?
I'm a train. I rushed to Victoria Station earlier and made arrangements for a special express.
What? How?
If you hurry now, we shall be there in time for dinner. And I know of a fine restaurant that serves the most delicious baked sole.
I don't... The great detective does it again?
Indeed he does. I happen to be aware of a number of rail transport directors' foibles.
What?
I merely made my knowledge to them known to the man, and he happily... Cemetery.
Just an idea, but it might be wise to stop manipulating people that way. What are we waiting for then? Chidlot and Victoria. Wow.
Wow.
Ported over quayside.
That took someone longer than I had anticipated.
Yeah, some 12 hours-ish. Susie's boat must be about to leave now. Mr. Susato, where are you? Where are you?
Follow the pink... See the... Oh.
Where are you?
Oh, that was
Where
difficult.
look! That was... I was just gonna say, that was fast. Looks like she's reading something. No, don't! Don't! Mr. Susato, wait, what are you doing?
Fucking eat the book.
Mr. Naruto, what are you doing here? We came as soon as we could after the trial. I mean, we heard that sailings were being delayed due to the bad weather, you see. Oh, I see. Then tell me, how did Gina's trial go? It went well. She was acquitted. And you helped. So give yourself some credit. That's wonderful, really wonderful news.
Cut to the same place.
The book you're about to throw into the sea, it was your encyclopedia of British law, wasn't it? Oh dear, I was hoping you hadn't seen that. I'm not worthy of practicing law anyway now. Why not? As I was saying my final
Just because you
farewell.
made a hole?
You're saying goodbye to law? You? Susato-san? What? I don't get it.
Would I be correct in assuming it's because of the peephole, Mr. Sato?
I deliberately altered the scene of a crime, and then I tried to hide the fact. What I did is utterly unforgivable. That reminds me. How did you even come to have this, Susie? On the evening of the incident, Mr. Sholmes had invited Gina to dinner, if you remember. Oh yes, we had a wonderful time. Well, Gina gave us a little introductory lesson, didn't she? In pickpocketing? To the art of pickpocketing, I mean. Oh, that was so much fun. I still ruined his
So she
armband.
used it to
Yes, please do that
pickpocket.
again, Iris. That band's very important to me. Well, if it's so important, you should pay more attention to it. You didn't notice for ages. On a whim, I thought it would be fun to see if I could take the cat flapper mat. So I put it up my sleeve. Really? But then I rather forgot about it until I found myself in Winterberg's shop with it later that night. I see. Oh, a happy little accident, eh? And then...
Shouldn't you just at least be walking next to the ship? You are pretty far away.
I don't know.
Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right. I'll leave you. Don't worry. What? After Mr. Naruto had left the shop, I started to think. The door started to play on my mind. The storeroom door, you mean? Yes, if Gina was anywhere in the shop, I realized it could only be behind that door. And at that moment, the little device that I had up my sleeve sprang to mind. I was so worried about Gina, I simply had to know. So you used the cat flapper mod to make the peephole in the door. As captured in a photographic print of the shop by one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
Indeed. It was one of the first importance, that point. Precisely when the peephole was made, that information would prove to be Mr. Naruhodo's greatest weapon. Though naturally, without proof, it would mean amount to do nothing.
But when I looked through the hole in the door, the sight that met my eyes made my blood run cold. Thoughts started to run through my mind. I remembered the trial 2 months earlier. The trial of Magnus McGilded. I thought about how I had manipulated the evidence and arranged false testimony to secure his freedom. Oh. It made the British justice system feel very dark and sinister to me. And then, a terrible thought occurred to me. What if some wicked criminal was planning to do the same thing now? Because from the appearance of the crime scene, it looked exactly as though Gina had shot Mr. Winterbank. Even though I was sure she would never have done such a thing. You will worry that the true culprit would try to frame her for the crime. That's right. But then I realized. It would be very difficult for anyone to give false testimony in this case. What do you mean? Well, the crime appeared to have happened behind the door of a locked room. For someone to claim falsely to have witnessed it, there would have to be a way to see beyond the door.
For which, a peephole would be the very thing.
Mm-hmm. Only the peephole I had made wasn't actually there until after the crime had been committed, of course.
That's a peephole.
The criminal would know that, so it wouldn't make any difference.
But the possibility of a rather ingenious trap was there, wasn't
A trap? Is that why she did it? So, is that why you kept it a secret, Susie? You never mentioned that you made the peephole to anyone, not even to the police. I know, and I knew at the time what I was doing was wrong. A criminal offense, even. That's why I decided to confide in Mr. Sholmes. If Mr. Naruto was completely backed into a corner, with no other possible means of escape. The truth about the peephole could save him. That was my plan. She really does think of everything. But then, why didn't you just tell me everything before the trial began?
My dear fellow, you're not thinking straight. If she had done that, it would have rendered you complicit in the escapade.
Mm-hmm.
You could have been disbarred having seen it if you had been seen to have no any temper with the crime scene.
Yep.
So Miss Susato decided to shoulder the burden and responsibility alone. For your sake and Miss Lestrade's.
So give yourself some credit, goddammit. Mrs. Susato. The truth is, when it happened, I did it because I'd lost a little of my faith in the law. Oh. I was worried that the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime. But the moment I allowed myself to think that is the moment I lost my right to call myself a judicial assistant. What you did isn't comparable to what he did. Graydon is the one who lied in the witness stand using the peephole as a way to implicate Gina. And besides, if the peephole inconsistency hadn't existed, I'm not at all sure that she would have been acquitted in the end. Mrs. Susato, what you did saved Gina's life. So give yourself some credit, goddammit. Well, with your kind words, Mr. Naruto, you saved me too from my regrets.
Well, we must all be thankful that Miss Lestrade's freedom has been assured.
Yes, exactly. Although some of the loose ends in the trial will continue to play on my mind, I'm sure. But the revelation that the music boxes contain secret messages, Mr. Naruto. What a triumph to work that out. I'm full of admiration. Well, actually, that argument wasn't quite as compelling as I thought it was. Oh, it wasn't. There was a communications officer among the jury members, you see, a telegraph operator. And she said that the majority of the sounds on the disc were just meaningless tones.
As one would expect. After all, we're talking about secret government communications.
No, they would be ciphered, yeah.
No doubt they were written in cipher to avoid being readily understood should they have been intercepted.
In cipher? I see. Suddenly we could never have hoped to understand the message anyway.
Nonsense, my dear fellow. It's quite a zero-pipe problem, I assure you.
What now?
So,
What? What? Well, that can't be a real word, can it? How funny. Wait, Iris, what did you say?
Oh, it was Iris who said it.
Oh, I just said asugi. Does that word mean something to you? Mean something? It means everything, goddammit. Asugi was the name of my best friend. What? But how? How do you know that name, Iris? I wrote it down during the trial before when the message was playing on the... Thank you! She transcribed it on the fly. She really is a genius.
Oh.
I thought the message probably wouldn't be written out in plain Morse code, so I tried various ways to interpret it. But whatever I tried, the words just didn't seem to make any sense. That is, in English at least.
Oh.
It suddenly occurred to me, you see. There's more than one Morse code, not just the English variety. Various countries around the world have also
So she
added
just
to Morse
kept
code.
trying all countries.
All
until
languages? Yeah. Holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
I don't believe it. Are you saying it's in Japanese? That's right. I've only actually seen a shot of Japanese Morse code once before. But I think it's based on the Iroha pangram, isn't it? And you mean to say that in Japanese Morse code the message says asugi? Yes, I think so. Sorry, but I don't remember all of the Japanese Morse code.
Oh
Iris,
no, she has the book of everything.
Iris, would you let me see
There
that?
we go.
Mr. Susato, do you know it? Do you know Japanese Morse code?
Wikipedia is here.
Yes,
for
I
one
spent some
last
time
time.
studying it. Because I'm quite sure Morse code will become ever more important for international communications.
Then might I recommend, my dear madam, that you focus your efforts on the English version.
Be that as it may, show me the message, please. Of course.
Asogi apparently was known by a government, a person of interest.
But what can this possibly mean? Whatever it is in that long sequence of supposedly meaningless dots and dashes, it's made the color drain from Susato-san's face. Ugh. There's no doubt that this message is written in Japanese Morse code. So the British Empire has been using Japanese for its secret communications? I don't understand the reason why, but the message appears to be a list of 4 people's names. 4 names?
So, what? Asogi?
The first is Kei Asogi, okay.
Okay.
Kazuma
Kazuma.
Asogi. What was his name on that disc? The second is A Shin.
Shin. We haven't met this one.
Shin, I don't recognize that name. The third is T. GREGSON.
Gregson.
Okay. GREGSON? Ah.
Oh,
Yes.
St. Tobias Gregson is the 3rd man on the list. Did you forget him?
What's his name doing on the secret government communication as well? And the last name? Don't tell me. What's the matter, Mr. Sato?
Let's take a guess.
It's just so strange, so unexpected.
Take a guess before you put. Sebastian. Take a guess.
Okay. I'm gonna say...
I have 2 guesses. It's either gonna be John H. Wilson
Yeah.
or Lord Strongheart.
Yeah, my guess would have been Wilson too. So if you say
Yeah.
Strongheart, I say Wilson.
Okay, I'll say Strongheart.
Okay.
We'll do a 50-50.
The last name is J. Wilson. Yep.
Fuck! 50-50 and I blew it.
What? Wilson? John H. Wilson? You mean Daddy?
Oh yeah, we still haven't told her that her dad died.
Oh, don't tell me that's a hit list.
So does that mean that Kazuma, the accident was premeditated?
Don't tell me that's a hit list. Oh, no. It says only J. Wilson, so I'm afraid I can't be sure. Then after the 4 names it reads, if I translate from Japanese, that is all 4. That sounds like a hit list. And that's the end of the message. Or rather, the end of what you noted down, Iris. God damn it. I just can't believe it. Who would ever have thought? But those discs contain Japanese Morse code. Not to mention the strange lists of disturbingly familiar names.
Oh right, because the beginning trial was like set up for Asogi to fail.
Hmm.
And Rinosuke decided on his own to...
Yep.
So now I'm like, did the ship thing that killed Asogi was an accident or was it premeditated?
Like an emergency solution?
Yeah.
To prevent him from coming to Britain?
Like an improvisation. Or do they have something? Did they have something for him? But now you are here, and now they are waiting for new orders. Whoever they are.
Yeah, I mean the government, right? This is a government communication. So this is
But who in
coming
the government?
From the British government. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm still suspicious of Strongheart. Like.
Yeah.
No.
And again, Josiah Brad, what the fuck?
Yeah.
They just hit him with a lot with very little.
Mm-hmm.
It's a communication of some kind between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan.
That can't be a hit list, though. So Daddy could be in Japan then. Where Susie and Runo come from.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, he could be.
He is there,
well.
technically.
No. It's not very likely, really, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson, and there must be lots of J's among them. Yeah, it's a coincidence. Yeah,
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
Jerry
exactly.
Wilson.
Yeah, Professor John H. Wilson, visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yuma University.
Minosuke, the longer you
Ah.
take before telling her, the worse it will be.
Well, but we can't
Like-
tell Iris about that now. We just can't.
But like, the longer you take, the worse it will be.
I know.
Because you
I
have
know.
that information withheld for her for
I
a
know.
long time.
I know there's gonna be she's gonna be really mad at us at some
She's gonna
point.
be really
Yes.
pissed off at
There's
us.
gonna be a big plot point. I can already see it coming. This is so strange. Someone solving the case of Mr. Winnebank's murder today. I feel like I've rolled back a boulder at the mountain at the mouth of a very dark cave. And what's coming at me is a swarm of bats. I do wonder. Perhaps it's a dark cave that we shouldn't go wandering inside. Honk! Oh dear, the ship's going to set sail soon. Yes, it seems so. I'll sail in that steamship first to the port of Dunkirk in France. Then I'll change into a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan. You're really going then, Susie?
We wish you a safe passage, Mrs. Sato.
Thank you so much. I wish all of you the very best. Mr. Sato, I had hoped to have you always by my side to guide me and support me. Mr. Naruto, please come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world.
No. Ace Attorney, why don't you have hug animation?
I'm quite sure I'll be back before you know it. Yeah, really though. Really, Susie? Oh no, don't forget, Iris. I made you a promise I've yet to fulfill. A promise? About your manuscript. Oh. Oh yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles. Do you need something to read on your journey? Well, I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise. Definitely, Iris. Mr. Naruto? Yes? Do you remember the first time we met? Yes, of course. You brought me my bento. Oh, wait, what? On the SS Burga, where I was dragged out from that wardrobe. Still half asleep. If I remember rightly, you threw me halfway across the cabin with a Susato takedown. You know very well that I'm talking about after that. It's strange, but being thrown together, as we were in that case, I somehow felt straight away that you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy. Aww. My instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that. I'll be back soon. Farewell until then.
Until the next game.
Yeah.
To be continued.
Well, we're gonna have a sequence here.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least. Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey. Fate led me to becoming a lawyer, to traveling halfway around the world, to meeting the great detective. I'm sure there'll be trials and tribulations ahead. Of course there will. But whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around. After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
Oh, that was a bit sappy, but I get it.
Yeah,
Hello.
It was, oh. Hi, I'm here for the after credits. Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, Mr. Sholmes?
I have some rather awkward news.
Oh?
Well, puberty is a weird time, and the railway company that decided to sue over the Special Express train, apparently.
Huh? It caused such a commotion on the line. All the other trains had to wait at stations.
But really, we would never have made it to Dover in time, by the way. Anyway, I explained everything, and how it was all your fault.
What you did? What now? Huh? Huh?
I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow. But not to worry, my dear fellow. According to Mrs. Sato,
You love defending yourself in court. Huh? 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 It's alright, I'm perfectly happy to testify. He really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See? Mr. Sholmes? Just throw him in the ocean right now.
yes?
A word if you don't mind.
Punches him in the face. Why, certainly. Any words you like. Bell it out, my dear fellow.
Yeah, I have a word for you. There we go.
This roll.
Then I really must say...
Objection!
No.
Yeah, that's
That
that's mandatory.
so sappy.
That's
That was
mandatory.
so sappy.
That
I love
is
it.
mandatory, though. That's mandatory. You have to end an Ace Attorney game with an objection. Credits time. Heck yeah. Thoughts about the game, I guess.
It's so long.
I mean, yeah, sure. But, like, holy shit.
I have a lot of fun.
Same. I mean,
I think we had some time to talk about like the weaknesses and strengths of Ace Attorney games.
oh yeah,
as a
definitely.
whole.
That's like that's like problems that are like, well, that apply to every game in the series, right? Where like you're
the
really
moment
far ahead in you know
you have to
know,
wait for the game to catch up.
exactly, you know what happened, but the game just like won't let you skip anything. But like yeah.
It's
But
nice
honestly-
that they at least try us giving you a bit of more choice. Like a lot of stuff that we found, we could choose 2 different items for the safe purpose. But like,
Oh yeah, but
I feel
that's the
you-
thing
you
in other
still
that's
need-
that's the thing in older Ace Attorney games too, though, where
but
multiple.
you still need that feel. You still need a problem with something about deduction is that if you're not actually deducting and you're just waiting for the game to let you say the answer,
Exactly.
you're not deducting, you're just following the plot line.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not exactly doing any detective work, as it were. You're just, you know, assuming things. Then the game throws you a couple crumbs, and then you're like, oh, okay, cool.
And then sometimes the game just goes extremely obvious in your face, like, if only there was an item we could use.
Yeah, and then at other times, it's just like completely unclear at what you have to do. Like,
Wait, Soseki is in the ship? Oh wait, is that stuff happening?
it looks like it. I mean, he is
we're
on his way.
missing-
He is on his way home. We know that. So
Yeah, but we haven't seen him in the ship, so these are actual scenes that we are just glossing over.
yeah, well, it's fine. You can just read him when the video's out. It's fine.
Hey, it's me. I'm Mel Strong.
Real Strongheart. Yes, scientific shit.
I dream of a world burned by the.
Like a
Wait.
great cock. But yeah, no, just despite the like, say, shortcomings of the Ace Attorney series, honestly, I'm just glad that this game was localized officially at all, or these games, I should say.
Yeah, I had fun. That was a really good moment. Like the scene where the judge is just cross-eyed and then
Yeah, like this
Six
this
is
chapter
used in the
alone, this
terrace.
chapter alone had so many
Yeah.
great moments, just because of the whole stereoscope thing.
They are really good at doing. Oh yeah, the box over there in the background, staring at us in the face.
Yeah, there it is.
Like the game has really good moments. It's just the overall way it handles narrative. It's a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
But not enough that it takes out from the charm of all the things. Like there is a lot of love in the characters
Exactly.
and stuff. It's just a little bit annoying when you have to wait for the game to catch up with what you understand.
Yeah. And sometimes when you notice things really early on, it can get a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I mean, you can sometimes actually be
But it's
proud
nice,
when
like,
you notice that
Mr.
stuff.
Gardet with his face always to the side until he looks and he has a giant face palm.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god,
Hey,
Rolly.
Rolly's back.
Are you taking your wife to work, actually?
I mean, maybe she just likes to go along with him.
I mean, they
Oh,
are cute. They're still cute.
He just needs to learn trigger discipline.
Yes.
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
Like, I really like those two. He just needs to do the discipline. Just need a little bit more training.
So how long are you going to
Um,
be in prison then?
That is a terrible. Yeah.
Well, at least Iris is coming to visit, eh?
Who are you talking to?
I'm kind of curious now. She said she wants to like make lives for the children better. So I wonder if she really does become a police officer.
It would be nice if like she appears with a Bobby outfit.
That would actually be cute. I mean, I can see that sort of like I said, sort of like an Emma Sky situation.
Oh.
Oh, hello.
Wait, I thought you were going to be.
Well, he still has to face trials. Oh, okay. They just put the Team Rocket with him in the same cell.
But I thought he was going to go to the gallows.
Well, the Three Musketeers.
What's this?
Milk in the neighborhood for all it's worth. Well, no, he still gets a trial. He still gets his own trial. But there's gonna be a really short one, so.
Very natural poses.
Oh yeah. That's my office. Hello there.
Forever.
I really hope you're gonna be back. And soon too.
Yeah, in the next game.
Yeah. Please color in that eye.
All right, the Daruma. It would have been a nice touch if they.
I mean, maybe
after
that's gonna
this
be
trial, it
the
appears with
the
them.
ending shot of it is him coloring in the eye.
Nah. Oh.
Oh, it's just a bit. Oh.
No.
Look at the cat stealing the hat. That's so cute. Hooray! Do we now get a credit crawl? Oh, hello. Cosmo.
Man, you look so alive.
Oh, it's Paper Mario credits. So gonna be more people following you on the way? Or are they gonna salute now?
Oh, the Bob is. Are we gonna walk through the storyline? Is that it? Yeah.
It looks like it, yeah. It's ouchie.
It's like is he gonna leave Ryunosuke when he gets to the boat?
Oh, please no. Yeah.
Kiryu Correcta and Yesanosa.
Mm-hmm. And Ido.
You.
Little baby Ido.
You.
You! Don't look at me like that.
Slap her hat.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Do it. Get her ass.
Is she gonna follow us? Nope.
Nope.
I thought it was gonna be like sad, like he leaves us during the boat sequences.
Well, now we're on the boat.
Enough.
Hey,
Naga again.
Naga again. Man, I hope his lungs are okay.
They are walking to the middle.
Yep.
Yeah, there he goes.
Yep, there he goes.
Goodbye.
Oh man.
There he goes. You were sad. Please don't be actual murderer government. I actually fell for you.
Oh, there she is with the sword.
There she is.
Now she's gonna follow probably, hey? Hand over the sword?
Yeah.
You're just gonna stand there?
Yeah. He's just gonna walk with the sword because the anime
Yeah, I know.
probably gonna be too much.
I know. There he comes.
Yeah,
now he has
there
the sword
he
on.
goes.
Can't animate that, sorry. It's not in the budget.
I think I'm...
It's cute though. There's
Yeah,
male
but-
strong heart.
Male beef strong enough. Yeah, it just goes tipo. Male strong jaw. And the bobbies.
Fair play.
Beppo.
And what's his name? Oh, lady first.
Yeah, oh yeah, lady first.
Ah, he's throwing coins at me again.
Every single Irishman. Put on your 3D glasses now.
Thank you so much, localization team. I love you.
Hey. Hello. Come walk with us.
Yay!
Hey, yay!
There's Inspector Gregson.
I like how their outfit is all like patched at work.
Yeah.
So they cannot me. Oh, he wears hand sandals. We never got this.
Yeah,
from
he's
the,
got- yeah,
we
yeah.
never saw his full model.
Is the cat gonna follow too? No.
Is Iris gonna follow us behind?
Come on, Iris.
Yeah, there is a lot of space.
There you go.
There you go.
Nice.
The Beatles.
Talk to the boot.
They have the exact same stride.
I love his pose. I love Van Zix's pose there.
He's so tall.
He
so
is
tall.
taller than Sholmes, yes.
Yeah, holy
He must be like 1.90 m or something.
Hi, Jeannie.
No.
She
Get to see her smile
pickpockets
again.
everyone.
Would have been funny if the arm is. Oh no, she's gonna shoot.
Okay.
She's gonna shoot. She's gonna shoot. She's gonna shoot.
It's like a firework just gonna shoot from top. They're starting to walk towards the middle again.
Hmm.
Yeah, Ryunosuke and Sholmes have the exact.
Yep.
Capcom.
Now do a bow.
The stanky leg.
Good job, guys. Good job. Oh, that was fun. All right. Well,
That was.
second game is going to be in whenever you're done with your thing. Then we worry about starting the second game.
Okay.
Well, good night then. And thank you for joining me. And thank you all for watching. Seriously, if you made it this far, congratulations. If you watched all 52 episodes of this, you have my sincerest gratitude. All right. Until next game. Bye-bye.